Okay, folks, here we go.
Here we go. Let's have a good show.
1B, stand by.
Yeah.
Yacht, stand.
Yeah,
Take
just
it.
like at midfield.
Take
Just go
it.
right
Opposite
now.
of
Go to
three.
camera 3.
Can
3.
you
Go
put-
to the
Thank
perfect,
you.
just like that.
I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, graphics 2 is going to be up for the first. Okay. Go right
Right
there. Go to camera 3. Go. Yep.
Can you
Go to the perfect, just like that. No music.
I'm going to hand to Q, Sophie.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
On radio in the Canal Zone.
All right, guys, mic check.
Go ready.
Okay, Ricky, mic.
Yep, I am ready.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Willie, mic check.
Yep, let's go.
1B, stand by.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
5,
4,
3,
2, 1,
Hold
and
on.
we're live.
Okay, and go for it, guys.
Oops.
There we go.
Yeah, you want to go on a roll on a repeat there, man. But happy Friday, guys. It's 8 p.m. Eastern time. It is 5 p.m. Pacific time. It is still 7 p.m. Canal Zone time. I imagine we're getting around the corner here to change that with the daylight time changing. But for now, it is 7 p.m. Canal Zone time. But welcome, everybody. Happy Friday to the Canal Zone. Love to kick off our weekend with you guys. Ricky, how's it going, man? Happy Friday.
Guys, like Willie said, we love kicking off our weekends with you guys. Welcome all to our weekly happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club. Cheers, everybody. Let's get this ball rolling.
Salute. Absolutely. Look at this.
Salute,
I'm laughing.
as
I've
you
got
know.
a Panama beer bottle, but you can't see it because of the green screen.
He does have
behind
a
us,
Panama
so.
beer bottle. As you know, I'm Ricky Royo. To my left, Willie Benninghoff. Both of us born and raised in the Canal Zone. Both our dads, Canal Zone Police. So, guys, this is a weekly podcast that Willie and I put on every Friday night at the same time, same hour. And we put on this podcast, guys, to take you down Canal Zone memory lane, as well as we bring up on, like we are tonight, a Canal Zone historian to talk about Canal Zone history. And tonight we got a good show for you guys, Willie.
Yeah, no, it's a great show. Listen, the first of the month is always a great show. Dave Dahlstrom joins us. He's our Canal Zone historian. And, it's something we've done every month now for quite a while. And every month you walk out of it going, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah,
And so it's fantastic. I mean, everything about this show is that nostalgia of going back to the Canal Zone. And we realize that so much of what we grew up around and took for granted that we didn't really know what was there and how special it was. And so it's great to have Dave always come on and tell, Dave has his own family has a really long history in the Canal Zone as well. So it really is a passion on his end of
a true Zonian historian, not
in
somebody
every
that was
way, shape, or
raised
form.
in Michigan and read a bunch of books. you know.
No kidding. Yeah.
But
So
that's
that's a lot of fun. It's, again, first of the month, we always like to do that. And, but other things going on, of course, we're, a lot going on in the zone here. We are now in October. It is October 1st, which of course it's the fall season as well. A lot of good stuff in the pipeline for this month on our show. Next week, of course, we're finally going to have James Slater on, right? A great songwriter, very accomplished country music songwriter, and of course a Zonian.
Zonian.
With the band
Hey,
Viva.
for Viva, one of the
Yes.
biggest bands ever in the Canal Zone. That's my opinion. I mean,
Yeah, no, exactly. That's going to be a cool show. And then the following week, Cassie Sprague's going to join us with Panama Arts and of course all of Al Sprague's great art.
Yeah, see what he's up to.
Of course, see what's going on with their art, and of course what they're going to have as far as specials for the holidays, and of course going down to Panama for the Canal Zone reunion. So she'll be talking about that stuff as well. And then this one's still in the works. We haven't written it in stone yet, but hopefully the 23rd of October, we're going to have some folks from the Clayton Cowboys.
Oh, right on. Love those guys.
Yeah, they were in the I think it was in the Fort Clayton Facebook group a couple of weeks ago. There was some chatter there about football or whatever, and so I messaged him and I was like, hey, we've got this Canal Zone show that we just kind of reminisce about our days back in the zone, and we had somebody from Howard Air Force Base just recently. And we'd love to have somebody from from Clayton, especially talking football, because you guys were a big rival of ours. And he's like,
You
yeah,
know
he's
what?
got some friends.
Yeah, those guys were always like nice to us. They weren't like mean rivals like Howard Eagles. Those guys wanted to kill us before like at Corona the week.
Yeah, Howard seemed
of
like they
our
had some kind of
games.
a chip on their shoulder or something. I don't know what it
They
was.
it was
I think
something about
from
Howard.
that West Bank or something.
But Clayton guys, they were always cool. But Howard guys, oh man, I always remember there was always there was always drama the week before the game.
Right.
Always.
I do remember that. That's true. Albrook was okay, because a lot of the guys on Albrook a lot of times were our friends from the zone because of the way the
They're
boundaries
out from Diablo.
Diablo and Los
from
Rios.
Diablo.
Los Rios, even Gamboa to a certain extent. So Albrook was a little bit of a hybrid kind of team. Some of those guys played also in Clayton, but not to the same extent. It seems like Albrook was more
Clayton had the Paraíso guys and
They
some
did.
Gamboa guys, because I remember the Fays played for the Clayton Cowboys. But it'll be
Yeah.
good to have them, man, and listen to their
Yeah.
story, how their practices, and how
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
recruited.
Sure, because you got to hand it to the military teams. Anytime you had a team that did well for more than a year or two, they had some kind of continuity going there, because the military life was so transient. And
Mhm.
a lot of our friends growing up, especially, you realize it, especially when you got into junior high school and high school, where you were now sharing school with people from all over the different towns. Whereas in elementary school, you went to Los Rios, you went to Clayton, you went to Balboa Elementary, but in high school and stuff, you got to know people, and all of a sudden the next year of school starts, and sometimes maybe it took a couple of months. You realize, oh, so and so's not here. Yeah, they moved out in the summer. They went. Now they're in Germany,
Speaking of knowing a few people, Willie,
So yes, there he is.
Lee, thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, what's up, Leaf? Leaf's back in Panama again. Hope your mom's doing better. Hey, Sheila, how are you? My dad
Sheila,
and I were
hi,
talking about police, and he thinks he knew your dad. Not sure, but did your dad end up leaving Panama? I think maybe if he was sick and had to leave Panama. I'm not sure if that was him or not, but we were just curious about that. But yeah, that was again, we'd love to reminisce about that life down there. Vern working tonight, but right on. There you go. Well, there's not a lot to show tonight anyway. Actually, there will be when Dave comes on, but at least for now, you'll just get to listen to our award-winning banter here, and if it entertains you. If not, I'm sure there's an AM station somewhere you can find. But
hi, Jim and Diane.
Hey, Jim. Good to see you. Yes, absolutely. Jim's gonna hopefully join us next month. I'm gonna, fingers crossed, if we can make it happen, and tell us he's got a great Canal Zone story as well, and a lot of history there. He's again another one that grew up in the zone as a kid, and so he's got quite a few decades of seeing how the Canal Zone evolved, from the age of our parents and stuff. So and he played a big role in that wing at the Gorgas Hospital with all the electric and everything there. So that should be a fun story. I'm looking forward to talking to him about that. But anyhow, on another front here, Canal Zone reunion. We're now in that Canal Zone reunion phase. It's only a few months away now, right? The end of the year will be here shortly, and really right after the holidays. At that point, you really are in T-minus countdown, because after the Christmas holidays, January goes by pretty quick, and at the end of January, the 21st, is when the Canal Zone reunion starts. So start paying attention there. Don't forget, guys, they do have the website, which is canalzonereunion.com. Easy enough to remember. Also, their Facebook page, facebook.com/Canal Zone Reunion. Very easy to remember. They were supposed to start ticket sales tomorrow. The system they're using, it's a really great system. It's going to be very handy once they get everything plugged in there. So they've got a little bit of a delay. So right now they're going to have it on October 15th. But definitely be ready. Check them out. Go onto their website and check it out. And I guess if you can register there or whatever the case is. Don't forget also on their Facebook page, they have that form. Make sure you fill out that form so you can get notified when they have any changes, because they have a mailing list that they're creating out of that. So you want to stay in the loop by filling out that form. But otherwise, stay connected on the Facebook page. That's probably the easiest way. They do publish regularly on there. Again, that reunion is a experience type reunion where you're going to go and do a lot of different activities, not stay in the hotel and congregate, which again is another different kind of reunion. Both fantastic reunions, but this one is, you're going for many of us. It's going back to the Canal Zone, maybe for the first time since it was the Canal Zone, and some of the activities they have include taking the train ride all the way to the Atlantic side and coming back. Interesting thing, you catch it in Corzall, right? Remember by the PX and stuff, that's where the main train station is now. All that area where we played baseball, the ball fields where we as Rams practice football, all that is part of the big giant port complex. There's just a big container fields out there and stuff. So the Panama Railroad itself, we learned this several months ago when Nodia Garcia joined us. It actually ends now in Corzall. That's the end of the line there. And the one that was in Panama by Ancon by Frangipani, there's barely anything left of that one, and the same things, we did hear that the Balboa one's going to become a UNESCO site, a historical or heritage site. But then again, we saw last week where the construction of that fourth bridge is going to be, they're going to be right. I mean, it really is going to overshadow that thing. So
it's going to be underneath those ginormous pillars. But at least they kept it, so thank God.
Yeah. So, but anyhow, that's what's going to be going on in that reunion. There's going to be, of course, some canal transit on a boat with I believe it's with Sea Panama and Andrew Eftimitis. I'm not sure. I don't want to step on toes.
I think there's several of them, Willie.
But probably. But that should be really fun. A lot of us, myself included, I never paddled in the Cayuca race. So my only experience of seeing the Panama Canal up close was one in the visitor center there in Miraflores. Although I do remember one year the Los Angeles Rams cheerleaders came down to the Canal Zone, and this is after the treaty had started, when my dad had moved over to graphics branch. So he was the one that got the assignment to go and because they did a lot of the photographer spillway and all that stuff. And I remember him coming and pick me up. I think I was in St. Mary's at the time, or maybe Corundu, but he's like, "Come on,
the Rams cheerleaders,
the Los Angeles Rams cheerleaders."
Was Shirley there? No, just kidding.
As a matter of fact, she was. But it was cool because I got to take a picture with them right in front of the Miraflores Locks building, right in front of the locks there. So it was a cool experience. But I've never gone through the locks. I've never been in the water going through the locks on the Panama Canal. And I imagine a lot of people haven't as well that go to this reunion. So another one of those experiences you want to take advantage of.
You want to take it. I mean, everybody who paddled Cayuca had that experience of being in that lock.
Right. Yeah.
But if you haven't, this boat will take you through. And it is an experience, going up and down and seeing that wall either rise or fall.
Sure.
It is quite the experience.
Yeah. So definitely take advantage of it. And again, all of these will go on sale on the 15th of October, but get yourself registered through those forms and follow the Facebook page so that when they do, put those changes, you get the notification, you go and check it out and make sure you get registered, because they are limited in space, right? Other than the train one, which obviously holds a lot of people, but the rest of them, they are limited in space, and you're going to probably want to go with a group of friends, and don't be the odd one out because you didn't hear about it. And if you didn't, it's not from this show, that's for sure. Don't blame us. But
and don't forget, if you're going down there, going into the Panamanian tourism website and apply for that $500 digital coupon.
Yes, certainly. Great call, because listen, that's something that Panama's doing now to spur more tourism to Panama. They've got, Copa Airlines has done a wonderful job of creating just a massive network with everything feeds to Panama, but it's just become a transfer point. It's become a point that you connect to another flight to go somewhere else. And Panama and Copa Airlines have said, hey, let's figure something out. People are coming here. How do we get them to stay here, even if just for a few days?
Yeah.
So they've come up with this.
Get that coupon.
Get a coupon book and some great savings there on stuff that already is cheap for our standards here in the States. But go down there and, you can get some great finds.
I'm
down
sure it's
there.
gonna be like tours, restaurants, museums, that kind of stuff's gonna be in there.
Even shopping. I mean, I imagine a lot of that stuff's going to be involved there. But again, definitely make sure that you're tuned in. Yes, and thank you, Cassie. Class of 86, we have a party Friday night. Okay, it's at the Spinning Club. They have a restaurant there that's right on the water.
That's
so
nice too.
Going to be really, really cool to watch that. So don't forget that, guys. BHS Class of 86 be there. And then Ricky and I, fingers crossed if Ricky's going to make the trip, we'll be doing a happy hour at the Balboa Elks Club on Friday night instead of the Yacht Club. So I may have to get somebody to take some pictures and create our own backdrop for that on here. But nonetheless, a lot going on there. Stay tuned, guys. The BHS Class of '86. Make sure if you haven't already, look for the page on Facebook and get registered. They do have a form that has also been created, so you stay involved and stay connected with those guys as well. And then, of course, make sure that you go to the canalzonereunion.com website and the facebook.com/canalzonereunion. Stay connected with those guys and find out everything going on with the Canal Zone reunion, that registration. I'm at the Razorback basketball. Of course she is. I don't know if you guys listen. If you're friends with Cassie on Facebook, if there's a Hall of Fame for fans of their collegiate sports,
Arkansas football.
Second place ain't even close. I mean, and I'm not kidding, guys. It'll be 13 degrees. And they're out there rooting
at
for
a softball game.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. I mean, true fans like none other. I mean, they are the Razorback fans.
There's about Canal Zone DNA with that, because our little league football games were packed. I mean,
they were, man.
Stadiums on both. I mean, stands on both sides of the stadium packed.
Yes.
So yeah,
no doubt.
That's a DNA, Zonian DNA stuff.
Yep, absolutely. But then again, guys, remember, you can contact her at Cassie@PanamaArt.com. Don't forget, and it's always a common misspelling, Panama Art. There's 2 A's there. Okay, don't do Panama RT. Okay, but reach out to there or just go to the website, PanamaArt.com. But make sure you stay connected. And again, don't forget the 17th of October, Cassie will be joining us here talking about all these awesome specials that they have for the holidays, guys. They're going to be taking stuff down to Panama. So, if you're going to the reunion in Panama and you want to get some of their items, you don't have to go down there and buy them and bring them up. Go ahead and order them ahead of time. Have them here in the States. It's going to be this, it's much easier that way. And then you take advantage of that space in your luggage to buy other things when you're down there. So, but don't forget to check those guys out and give these guys some love there. The Canal Zone reunion for sure. Mm-hmm. What else we got here? Let's see. Say hello to a few other people.
Hi, Tanya.
Hey, Tanya, how are you? Tanya, did you ever get your stuff from the Canal Zone Museum, the museum collection? Let me know if you did, and if you didn't, let me know either way. Of course, I'll make sure that you get that taken care of.
She won. That's right. She won a contest.
She did. And HB is talking about the
HB
5-year anniversary official video. Okay.
Wait, Willie, speaking of anniversary, tonight is our 99th show.
Oh, nice. Salud, Papa.
Oh, my God. I cannot believe we've hung out this long. But right on, Willie, too. 99 more.
Heck yeah, man. It would have been our 100th, but we had that little mishap a couple weeks ago. So
that's right.
That's right. This would have been it. But are we sure that was for some reason I thought it was gonna, maybe my math was wrong, but I thought it was gonna be
I wasn't counting that, so we're
actually
98. Beat there.
Okay. That was a little pre-celebration. That was a little pre-game, preseason. That was a preseason finale.
We were hacked, bottom line, because we changed the password. We didn't do anything else. Changed the password, boom, fixed.
It's hard to explain it any other way, dude. I'm not kidding. It's very hard to explain it any other way. Let me see here. Okay.
Well, anybody who hacked us, the new password is...
Yeah. Hold on. Let me put this on. HB shared this with us here.
No.
Let me throw this on the screen real quick here.
So show number 98, guys. That's pretty good. That is pretty damn good.
Let me go to
this. That's 90 divided by 4. You're looking at about 25 history shows at a minimum. 24, right, 25.
Check this out, guys. Let's play this real quick. Thank you, HB. Let me get this over here. And
1, 2.
Can you guys hear? Hopefully, let me know in the comments. Somebody throw it in if you can hear the audio.
Oh yeah, great song.
Get up, get out, get somewhere.
First hit, right? The very first hit.
Over the bridge.
I believe so.
Go south. To know
we're still lucky to have
the water there is clear and singing out to me. I hear it. Tell me, can you hear it calling? Come on down to Panama. I'm getting on the quickest flight. Come on down to Panama. so I can see it will be better. Probably I've got
Very
to
nice.
stop my
Yep, there's that Panama Road tour. Look at that. That's a lot of people, man. That's so cool. Look at that.
I've got my suitcase in my hand. I'm going down to Panama. It just might be my promised land. I can picture you and me running barefoot on the beach, just like in the travel brochure. We could be the pretty people playing guitar down on the sand. I smile at you, you take my hand. I can hear my heart a beating, getting stronger now it's beating.
Very nice.
I gotta wake up, drink something stimulating.
Look at that.
Look at the clock, I'm running late, so frustrated.
Oh, there's Coach Vince.
I've got to
That was
quit
cool.
procrastinating, get my
Canal House.
tickets
That's now the Yacht Club. It's
motivated.
Canal House.
My alarm keeps ringing. I'm going down to Panama. I'm walking through the looking glass.
Go.
I'm going down
Very nice.
to Panama.
What a great song, dude. That Zonians. So they just recently celebrated that anniversary back last month. So, very good. Thank you, HB, for sending that. Appreciate that. Yeah, that was really cool, man. That's don't forget that to check that out. And you see like that railroad, the train, and all that stuff. That's part of that whole Canal Zone experience that you get at this reunion. So make sure that you stay tuned, connect on that page there, because on October 15th, some of those will sell out quick. Okay, a lot of people have confirmed they're going down there. Our BHS class of '86 is going to be down there. I know Ricky, some of his class are going to be down there as well. So definitely get checked in with those guys and get ready to have some good Canal Zone memories and some Canal Zone fun.
Yeah.
Real quick here, guys. How many people play Texas Hold'em or play poker? I know I love to play poker. I used to play poker quite a bit, and we've been lately we've been toying the idea of doing a poker league, and a couple other people have reached out and mentioned that, and so I started looking it up, and there's actually a company that's really cool. They set up these private poker rooms online, and it's all done online, but it's a lot of fun. So we were even thinking about maybe doing something like that down the road. So if somebody's interested in playing, like a weekly game, we'd like to do something maybe with a league, which would be kind of cool. But if not, maybe just something kind of casual once or twice, a month or something. But definitely let us know. That would be a lot of fun. I know, Ricky, you play poker. And
I mean, I play it only to hang out with you guys, but I don't know much about it. I just the obvious,
Okay. We like people like that at the
Like
table.
we have like a 2 and a 3, yeah, fold.
Yeah, but you definitely want to fold that. What is the worst hand in poker? The worst starting hand in poker. Let's see if anybody in the chat knows it, because this one, if you play poker, you definitely should know this. But the worst
hand in
yes,
poker. Can I take a guess?
you can.
Or
But
wait for
it would be
wait
you. It'd be
for-
web. Let's see if somebody comes up with it here. Remember, we have a bit of a lag there, but yeah. What is the worst hand in poker?
The coolest hand. No, just kidding.
And the best hand, of course, would be aces.
Hey,
but-
we're getting a lot of positive feedback. We got a real cool one. We got a hands and thumbs up. Right on. Maybe
Aces and eights. Look at that. That's one. Aces is your best hand. Although I hate playing aces, because I was telling Ricky earlier, aces, right? There's something they refer to as called slow playing, right? You got a pair of aces, you pretend you have nothing, right? So you just keep checking and you don't raise, you don't do anything, let people fill the pot up. But inevitably, when it comes down to the showdown, now there's 5 cards. You got your aces, you put them down, and somebody's got like trip fours or something, and they beat you for being foolish, and so they call that slow playing. So if you don't slow play and you bet your aces to try and get some money in there, it's always my luck that people just end up folding. So either way, aces don't seem to work a lot for me. I love kings. I'm a fan of pair of kings.
Yeah.
That's my favorite hand is a pair of kings. I like playing. I'll usually, even if somebody keeps raising, I think they probably got aces, I'll still try my kings.
I think it's gonna be a good idea, Willie. I hope it works out.
It should be fun.
Join.
By the way, though, the worst starting hand in poker is a 7-2 or 7 deuce, what they call offsuit. It had to be a different suit. That mathematically has the worst chance of winning is if you have those two.
Got it.
So, but there you go, guys. So anyhow, let me know if you guys are interested in joining. I think it would be a lot of fun to have maybe like a Tuesday night or something. Have a weekly poker night for a couple hours. It's fun,
and it's
man.
live, so we can all chit chat with each other.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we don't do it where you all are on like
ideas
we are
to
right now on camera. You get to it's like a home game, but we can do it online. So it
yeah.
makes it a lot of fun.
And Willie, we can also I call it chit chat with the people who are playing about what we're going to talk about Friday night. We can always get ideas
Yes,
from our
absolutely. Yes. Yeah, it would be cool to have a gang of Zonians to chit chat with, on a regular basis. So, anyhow, something to keep in mind, guys. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and keep moving right along here because we do, of course, it is the beginning of the month. And as we all know, the beginning of the month is our, oops, hold on, let me fix this here.
Dave's
Beginning,
time.
it is. It's our history in the Canal Zone time, and so we definitely want to get our Canal Zone historian out here. Let me just work on something here. I forgot to get the screen set up here, but our topic tonight is going to be very interesting. It kind of not really came out of the blue, but when Dave let me know last week about it, I didn't expect that. But I was really excited right away because I'm a fan of course of Canal Zone history, but I'm a fan of history in general, and so this one in particular has a lot of historical importance. Anyhow, so let me go ahead and get without any further ado, let's bring out our Canal Zone historian, Dave Dahlstrom. Dave, how's it going, man?
Right.
Good. How you doing, guys?
We're here. It's the beginning of the month here. We're ready to be learned on something else
Educated.
about the zone that we had no idea about.
Of
So
course. And I will deliver tonight.
yes, you will. So tell us
So,
what this is that you're going to talk about because again, like I said, I love history in general, and this has not just canals on history, but this is part of world history in
yeah.
general.
Pull up the agenda. I like to take the long route, and I connect everything back to the canal zone.
Let me go ahead
But
and
part of it, some of it I've talked about it before. You have to know the context of what's going on around you
certainly,
and why things were the way they were. Sometimes you look at them independently, and you're just like, "That's just crazy."
yeah,
But then when you know what's going on, that was the reality. That was
yeah,
their reality. So they had to make do with what they had,
sure,
and it made sense for them at the time. And we can
yeah, no
second
kidding.
guess some of the stuff. But tonight, go on to the agenda.
Okay,
So first, I'm going to start off with the what I am. What am I? And I put this in actually today. I learned about it this morning, so I added it to my presentation. And then I'm going to go back. We had a show on August 15th, and we did a lot of the opening of the Panama Canal, and we used the Kahoot. It didn't really let me talk about all the things I wanted to talk about.
right,
So I'm going to do a little bit of an update on that,
cool,
a little more detail because I think it's really important. It's things that I didn't really know,
right,
and so hopefully you didn't know about them either, and you'll learn about them.
yeah, absolutely. That's typically the
So
case here at the beginning of the month.
what's that?
I said it's typically the case at the beginning of the
Yeah,
month. It's
well,
something we didn't know
yeah,
about and we
yeah.
learn.
And then sometimes after I do a presentation, I'm doing research and I'll find something that doesn't necessarily contradict, but it expands on what I presented. And so I always wish I could go back and
Right,
redo some of it because I've always said, you read The Path Between the Seas, you get one. It's a big book, you get a lot of story, but you only get the tip of the iceberg. You
right,
can't know everything, and there's just so much, so
sure,
much.
sure.
Then I'm gonna just do a. I think I might have already done this before, but I'm gonna do it again in case I didn't. Just an update on famous Zonians because Halloween is coming up soon. Then, since this is October, we've talked about this before, but I'm going to do a little bit of history back on the Balboa Dike. It
Nice.
was blown up on the 10th of October in
Oh wow,
1913.
right on.
And then I'm going to do a Where Am I?
Okay,
And then the main presentation is going what I'm calling Canal Zone in World War II ish.
okay, right on.
Basically, um, from the 30s to 1945.
Okay,
Um, and actually, the war ended in August of 1945, and we're going to be talking about World War II action up until about October of 1945.
how about that?
All right. So, and then I'm going to talk about the planned attack on the Panama Canal, which was called Operation Clear Sky Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of that?
Interesting. Never heard that.
Never heard that. All right.
Mm-mm.
So that's going to be my show. So let's get started. I got a lot to do.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So famous Zonians.
Okay.
This is which Zonian had a sword gifted to King Charles in 2025. So basically 2 weeks ago.
All right. So if you were paying attention 2 weeks ago in the news and current events, you'd know which Zonian had his sword gifted to King Charles.
Sword.
I mean, I could. There's one that comes to mind for me, but I'll see what people in the audience want to say if somebody can come up with something. HB, but I just,
And I'll give a hint. This Zonian lived in the Canal Zone for 2 years.
lived there for 2 years.
And gifted to King Charles. Wow, that's a big.
He lived there in the 20s.
Hmm.
But his sword was just given to King Charles
Okay,
this
so
year.
it wasn't who I thought initially. Then, okay, so it wasn't Gorgas. Because he was knighted, so I assumed that there's a
Goethals.
connection there.
Well, this gentleman was knighted as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah, let's see what
All right, let's go on to the next one.
okay.
All right.
Eisenhower. Good.
Yeah,
Eisenhower.
good old Ike.
And you can see in this image, he's holding a sword.
Can't
This was a
confuse the guy in
sword
the
that
right.
was gifted to him by the French. He's in France in this photo. And then I found another photo
That's
of a
Charles de
sword
Gaulle in front of him.
that he has. It's not exactly the same. The hilt
Okay.
looks a little bit different. Maybe it is. Maybe it is the same. But when President Trump went to England, he wanted to gift one of Eisenhower's swords to the king.
Wow.
He wanted to take a sword out of Eisenhower's presidential library and give it to King Charles. And the curator at the Eisenhower Museum said, "I'll give you a replica."
Ah, there you go. Right on.
So King Charles got a replica sword
Made
of
in China.
Eisenhower's, and the curator got fired.
Of course. Of
So,
course.
there you go.
Well, Eisenhower was the supreme Allied commander in Europe.
He
So,
was.
he ran the entire show for England, U.S., and all the
Exactly.
other allies. So,
And
Canadians, Polish.
I would have thought Trump would have just said, Charles, why don't you become the 51st state?
right?
It's like just right back at you. You come full circle.
Might as well, right?
Yeah.
Return
But
the
anyway,
favor.
all right. No politics. Let's go.
All right.
All right.
So,
It's not
what
politics.
am I?
All right. What am I?
All right. Let's see what we're
All
talking
right.
about here.
So you just have to go to it.
Okay.
You have any idea what this is?
Well, it's commemorating the opening of the Panama Canal.
All right. Try the other one. See if the next slide. See if that one comes up a little bit better.
Okay.
Not really.
Prosperity to all nations. Okay. Chief engineer and chairman Isthmian Canal Commission. So it's
Got one right here.
wow. Okay.
You got one?
Wow. Yeah.
Look at that.
It's not gold.
It's copper, huh?
Yeah. All right. So this is a coin that was minted for the opening of the Panama Canal. And there were 50,000 of them made. And I would imagine that they were also made available at the World's Fair in San Francisco.
Sure. And this is again one of those things that unfortunately got buried in page 2 because World War I had broken out. And so all these great celebrations were like, ain't got time for that right now.
So this coin is also known as a Cristobal.
Oh, right on.
And
why? Because it's like second class or something, or
something like that. But we'll get to that in the next couple of slides. But remember that. So this is a Cristobal.
Okay.
And it was to commemorate the opening of the Panama Canal.
All right. Here we go.
And
So definitely not the Roosevelt medal.
It's not the Roosevelt medal. It's not made
the
out
first
of.
thing I thought of it first. That's what I thought.
But they are numbered.
Definitely not the VIP coin.
I've got number 20,686 or something like that. I can't read it.
Wow, you're 1 digit away from the winner, man.
Yeah, but there's 50,000 of them. So anyway, but it's a real special coin, and I want to tell you about it. And this is why I want to talk about August 15th. Again, the first transit, the update.
Sure.
So go to the next one.
Okay.
So we all know that the Panama Canal opened on August the 15th. Go to the next one.
Okay.
And the Ancon was the first ship to transit, right? So that's the official transit. So that's what I grew up believing. August 15th, that was the first boat to go through, right?
Sure.
But I think, Will, as you've pointed out in other presentations, there were other boats that went through before the Ancon. And so let's go to the next one. I got
Yeah, you
some
never
other
want to look bad
images.
in the ceremony when something doesn't work. So you got to test it.
Yeah. And Henry here tells us SS Cristobal was the
All right.
test
So
voyage.
this one, this is another image that I found, and what I always love when I find these like personal photos that people took. So like when Buddy Hallett puts things on the Panama Canal
Right.
Society website with all those personal photos. To me, those are the best canals and photos.
Right.
Um, and so like this one wrote on the wall, Panama Canal opening 8/15/14. I just think it's just a I don't know, a lot more
Organic.
real
It's
photo.
real. Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And people were excited about it, so they wrote that
Yes.
on there. This is the opening. I was there, type
I
of
mean,
thing.
they saw people die. They've gone through a lot. And remember, in the
Right.
1900s, Panama wasn't exactly, paradise with hotels and everything else, man. That was a rough
Absolutely.
place. That place was a big celebration to finally finish this.
So I'd never seen this photo before, and so I wanted to share it
That's
with
cool.
with everyone. I didn't want to wait a year to share it, so
Right.
I'm just doing an update now. So go to the next one, and then again, this is a personal photo of someone took of the Ancon.
Yeah.
Probably around Pedro McGill, it looks like.
Sure.
But you can see all the people on the boat. There were like 800 people on this
Yeah,
boat
certainly.
that day, and the president of Panama was on it.
And you can see from
But
that perspective that they obviously were on land somewhere just above the water
yeah,
line, but not too far high up. That I mean, they're certainly right on the edge there.
right, exactly.
That's cool.
But I just thought it was a neat photo because it's not the one you always see.
You imagine being a kid, 10, 11 years old with your friends hanging
Mhm.
out, watching this go by. At that age, you don't realize the history you're watching there, but maybe later on you're like, wow, I was there
And
sitting on
this
the bank watching this.
and those 800 people that were on there were a bunch of dignitaries and stuff,
Of
or maybe it
course.
was 200 people that were on there. But
Heck yeah.
it was, you can see this boat's all decked out with the flags and all that stuff.
Sure.
So then go to the next one. And so this is another picture of the Ancon going through the cut. We always see, like in the Path Between the Seas, it coming forward. You never see
Sure.
it leaving.
This is the one guy that stuck around after it went by and took the last
Right.
one.
Took it, so you can see Ancon in the back, and you can see all the
He's probably
people in the
drinking a
back.
beer. Oh my God, the boat
No,
just
he
went
was
by.
going to the bathroom around back. He came back, it was gone. He's like, damn it. Well, take another
Yeah.
picture then at
Yeah,
least, man.
so it's just one of those images that you don't always see,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
so I just wanted to
absolutely.
share it.
And
And
it's cool because you got the name of it on the stern there. You can because the other ones you even can't see it on the front at all.
right,
The Ancon, you can at least see what
Yeah,
it is
and it
there.
looks like a tunnel or some caves or something on beyond the boat.
Oh yeah, that looks like an
it's
area
just
that
I
they
think it's
blasted
just a
out.
void in the
Yeah,
wall. It was probably like a cave in or something like that.
sure.
Wow.
And I think it says Ancon, and I think it says Panama underneath it, not like United States or something.
Probably. I mean, even back then, I guess. Well, were they back into the registry of ships back then? I wonder.
I don't know how they did it, so
Interesting
it's
to
one of the
find
things I
out.
got to find out now.
It's on the
So then the
agenda.
next one, there are other firsts, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this one, but the SS Alliance was the first ocean-going vessel to make lockage in the Panama Canal, and it went to the
Wow.
Gatun locks on June 8th. So not August 15th, but June 8th. This boat just went into Gatun, probably turned around and came back.
Interesting.
There was still a dike in Gamboa. No, they had blown it up by that point. This was the first boat
That's
to
probably it
actually
was
go.
just good timing. They probably had to test it. They had a ship that is probably not due to leave for a few days or something. You're like,
Mhm.
you want to make a few extra bucks? We need you to run your ship through the locks here one
Yeah.
time. You know?
So I'd never heard really of any ships coming
Yeah.
before the
I mean, that's 2 months
Ancon.
before.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they tested
Yeah,
those
yeah, they
locks
had to.
many times.
Sure.
So this is another boat that you never hear about. And then the next one is called the Santa Clara. It's a
Okay.
nice name for a boat. And it went through the Pedro McGill lock, so on the Pacific side. So this was the first one to lock
Mhm.
through on the Pacific side. And that was on June 18th. So that was just like 10 days later.
Interesting. So you notice that they're labeling it as testing or what they'd call lockage
Yep.
versus transiting because they only went
Right.
up a certain distance and came back.
Exactly. Right.
Right on.
Wait, you mean they U-turn right in the channel or
Somewhere not
I
in the
mean,
channel probably. I probably they went past it in that lake, and came
Well,
back.
Miraflores Lake, they could probably do it in
Yeah,
Miraflores
between
Lake.
Miraflores and Pedro Miguel, you
Miraflores
can turn
for
around.
sure. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Right.
You guys are right.
So the next one. So this is what we've talked about before. That
Right.
on the 3rd, that the Cristobal, which looks exactly like the Ancon,
Yeah, no kidding.
was the first passenger vessel to cross the whole
So we
Panama
were wrong
Canal.
thinking the Cristobal was the one when some others had already started going through. Not all the
So
way
the
through though.
August 3rd, so the Cristobal beat the Ancon going through the whole canal,
Of course. Oh, the Atlantic
but
side always
it was
beating us.
unofficial, right?
Well, and interesting trivia for you guys to know that was the last Cristobal win in the Canal Zone
No, it
afterwards.
wasn't. Willie, you're so mean.
Uh,
By the way, we have a new channel, Channel 10 for all the Cristobal.
Yes, speaking of Cristobal, we do
so
Channel 8 Fort Clayton, Channel 10 Fort Davis.
That's
all
right.
right. So let's go to the next slide. And this is from the canal record. And basically, in summary, it says that in anticipation of the opening of the canal to traffic on August 15th, it's directed by the Secretary of War, which was um, Garfield, Grant. No, what was his name? I can't remember what his name was.
Secretary of War. Wow.
He became president after Roosevelt. Who was that? I can't remember.
It was not
Uh,
Taft, was it? Was it
yeah,
Taft? Okay.
Taft. To do a test voyage from Cristobal to Balboa on Monday, August the 3rd. So that is the Cristobal. That's what we're
Well,
reading
there you
about.
go. That's
And then
it.
it says that it's a sister ship of the Ancon, which is an official opening voyage will be made on August 15th. Then it ends, the last paragraph says, it is expected to operate the Advance, that's the SS Advance, through the canal on Sunday, August 9th. Applications for passage by old employees will be received at the office of the governor. So when the Cristobal went through, Goethals invited. Basically, it was the Society of Chagres. It was the
Okay.
Canal Roosevelt holders that had at least 2 years,
Oh wow.
or two bars,
Two
4 years.
bars. 4 years. Right, right.
They were invited to be on that ship. So the Cristobal not only was the first, but go to the next one. Go to the next slide. This is I forget the gentleman's name, but this is kind of like a memoir that this guy
Mm.
wrote that Colonel Goethals had never been through the canal. And one of his most remarkable facts concerning the opening is that he saw that the old canal men were the first ship that made the passage.
And rightly so.
And it said they called them test voyages. And something tells me that these test voyages were made for the purpose of giving the real canal builders the first chance.
Very cool.
And he said, I could find out tomorrow, because he was going on a trip with Goethals the next day, whether this is true, simply by asking him, but he might say no, and I'd rather think that he did this. At any rate, the first
Nice.
voyage for the purpose of this chronicle will not be the official one, but the test trip made by the Cristobal on August 3rd. So it wasn't necessarily well known
Right.
why, but basically they let the canal workers be on that Cristobal. And the rumor is that the commemorative coins were on the Cristobal on the 3rd of August in the
Oh,
hold. So this
interesting.
ship, this coin
Was on the first
was on
voyage.
that Cristobal. So that image that we just saw of the Cristobal, this was on that ship. And that's why
That's
it's called the
awesome.
Cristobal.
Ah, there you go. That's the connection.
That's the connection.
Yeah.
All right. So, but you can also,
Imagine
in
that.
the article, it said that on the 9th, there was going to be a boat called the
Sure.
Alliance, right? So go to the next one.
Yeah, and I mean, can you imagine that sensation of you having worked on the canal and then be able to ride on it and it works? It just what a sense of accomplishment to be able to experience it yourself first, you know?
So this, I've got some pictures of the Cristobal that we don't always see. And this one was, I guess, Mickey Fitzgerald. I guess he's not the photographer, but he was the owner of this. These were from the Canal Museum, Panama Canal Museum. And I always have to
Wow.
thank, Panama Canal Museum, Canal Zone Images, Old School Panama, all these people that post their images and stuff.
Yeah.
I couldn't do this without all that stuff. And when I go looking for information, it always pops up.
Yeah. 100%.
So I want to give them credit. You got to go look at their stuff. There's so much incredible stuff out there.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so thank you all for posting that and letting me steal it. But they're not my photos.
Yeah, we're
So
just borrowing them for the show.
educational purposes. I think that's the
Yeah, that's it.
And
100%.
this is that image. You can see all the men on the boat, and those are all canal workers.
Yeah.
You know, and they're probably having a time of their lives there.
I was going to say, I bet there's a band there, a bar there.
Well, and the funny thing is, they're probably explaining to each other all
I
the
did
stuff that
this.
works on there, even though they all know about it.
Hey,
Oh
there's
yeah,
the
that's
rivet you
there it goes.
missed.
That's what you. Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's critiquing. Come on, man, you can do a better job than that.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Oh, there it is without the wording in front of it.
Yeah,
that's cool. It's a little bit lower too. It's like it must be getting ready to empty out of that chamber.
Could be. Yeah. So just some more images of it that you don't always see, but so I just thought I'd throw it in there so that if you want to go look, you can find various images of the Cristobal. The next
this is
one,
Virgin Canal Zone here, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Very beginning of the canal zone.
It's not even opened yet,
right?
So, and then this image, you can see all of the people on the ship. Look at them all.
Every deck is crowded,
and they're all probably Roosevelt holders,
right?
They
don't realize how famous they're looked at nowadays. To them, they were proud of it, but I don't think they realize the stature they have.
I've got about 8 Roosevelt holders in my family,
right?
And one of them had to be on these ships.
Yeah, you would think. You would think.
But I don't know. I mean,
it's not like you had a lot of these. There's only a few of them, and so those folks have definitely been the ones doing it.
That article said if you want to go, register with the governor's office. So they must have a list of who was on board. I mean,
I would think so.
So, all right, go to the next one. And this one has Goethals on the locks, looking at the ship, watching it. So Goethals was there, but he wasn't on the boat.
Nope. Making sure everything's working.
Right, exactly. And so then here's a picture of the Cristobal in the cut. David McAuliffe could have put this on the cover of Path Between the Seas, right?
Yeah, right.
He chose the Ancon. Why didn't he pick the first? But.
And when was that book written?
That came out in the 70s.
Okay, and you had access to information.
Right. And this image, actually, if you look closely, it says August 4th on it. So this is the Cristobal on its way back the next day. So this is northbound.
Okay.
So not only was the Cristobal the first to transit the canal going south, it was the first to go north.
It was the first and the second. It's got the gold and the silver medal.
But the Cristobal did get shortchanged.
Sure did.
It docked in Balboa.
Okay, I'm quick.
Ancon went 5 miles out to the end of the canal.
Yep, there you go.
So the Ancon is listed as the first to make the full transit.
So this is what you wanted, Ricky.
Yeah, that's the one.
After all that work, and all of a sudden Ancon comes in going, "Hey, we're the winner. We're the champ."
So then here's another one of the Cristobal going through. And so, Will, you had mentioned that someone was on the bank taking that picture. Well, you can see all the people in that barge.
Yeah, no kidding.
So they probably were not just on the bank, but they might have been on a boat. Really
if you didn't make it onto that list, you get the second best thing was get on one of the barges.
Yeah, and I know this is the Cristobal because the previous image or the next image, you can see a little porthole in the barge on the bottom right has a little round porthole window.
Yeah,
and when you go to the next image, you can see both portholes.
Oh yeah.
And it's a little bit closer, and it says Cristobal right on it. So, but it's hard to tell the Ancon from the Cristobal.
Yeah, minus the name, can't tell.
Yeah. And because it looks like it's going south, I'd have to say this is on the 3rd, not on the 4th. All right. So the next one I have
that hill up there. Is that Paraiso Hill?
Yeah.
Interesting. Look at that. Okay, cool.
Or Paraiso Hill.
Yeah.
And then this is the Advance. So this is the one that said on the 9th. If you want to go on the 9th.
Okay.
So this is all the workers coming on the 9th.
Right.
On the Advance. So this one beat the Ancon.
Interesting.
All right.
We got a question here from Captain Andrew.
Yeah.
Was the first full transit a dead tow barge?
Well, yeah, they had barges like the Alliance. I mean, the La Valley had done it earlier, but didn't do it all at one day. It did it over a period of time. So
And it-
yeah, there were other boats that went. There were also dredges that went through. I think we showed it at on previous shows.
Yeah.
We've had pictures of the La Valley, and the bell of the La Valley is in the museum, Panama Canal Museum, downtown Panama.
Oh,
That
right.
was yeah. So that's the first. That's the first boat that went through.
Well, remember they had a couple of really big landslides right before it was going to open,
Yeah.
so they had to start
Exactly.
moving some of those dredges
Right.
through from both sides.
Yeah. So this is basically this is like on purpose transit. You're going to go from Cristobal to Balboa in one day,
Right.
in 8 hours or 10 hours or 11 hours, however long it took.
Yep. No fanfare, just do it.
But the La Valley, it might have done it over like a couple week period.
Right. Yeah.
And the dredges or the so yeah, but I don't think anyone
Like a
just did
wedding
it on
rehearsal.
purpose.
Hey, Steve.
I'll have to put a spreadsheet together on all those things.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But
That'd be
because
cool.
I've never really seen this
Well, it's always
presented
just
this
something. It's
way. It's
Ancon and
always been the
Cristobal.
Ancon,
Yeah.
and
And they sprinkle the Cristobal here and there as we think that we know the trivia answer there. It turns out that was wrong. So Tanya, I'm sorry, but your membership is no good because we were wrong on that one. It wasn't a Cristobal, so I'm sorry. If you got it, please return it. I'm kidding. But that yeah, it's interesting because there was quite a few ships that did it prior to the Ancon and the Cristobal.
And then the next slide. Oh, you went too far. Too far.
Okay. So we have an update.
Too far. Go back one more. There you go. This is August 11th. This is August the 11th. And this is the Panama.
Oh, I never even heard of that ship going through.
So we got Cristobal, Ancon, and Panama going through, right?
And Alliance.
Yeah, Alliance and Advance.
Advance, right.
Advance, yeah.
So maybe there were others, but I would imagine, with several thousand Roosevelt medal holders and workers, you couldn't fit them all on one boat. So they probably did many boats to get as many people on as they
absolutely
could.
And keep testing it. I mean, you're testing everything there. I imagine that even on one of the first tests, there was probably, for the most part, they go, hey, everything worked out great, but I'm sure there was kinks here and there, and they probably second one fix it, third one, so you probably had to have a few.
And that's probably why they didn't do one like consecutive days necessarily, because hey, this
we got to close
gate didn't close the way it was supposed to.
Yeah,
but they were testing it beforehand because those tugs and stuff were going through,
right,
locking down and stuff like that. So
you're not going to rely on 12 years of work all in 2 days of testing.
All right, let's get going. We're going to run late if we don't go. So this is the update that I had, and because this is October,
right,
and I don't come back on until November,
right,
and Halloween is on the 31st of October.
Right.
So I want to do an update because we did a famous Zonian before, and there was a neighbor of mine that did a horror movie.
Yes.
And
Woodruff.
Go to the next one. And the movie was called The Fun House.
Yeah.
And so this is Largo Woodruff. She's the one in the center, wearing the purple there.
Yeah.
But this was a pretty scary movie for the day.
Yes, it was.
And to go to the next one, and that's Largo there in the purple. That's not me on the right, but but what I was thinking that we're not going to have a show on the 31st, but I almost need to have a screening for this for Halloween.
Yeah, no kidding.
Online, and people could make comments about how good or bad it is, right?
We might have those. I wonder where it's available to watch.
It's on YouTube. You can go on YouTube and watch it. You download
you know what? We might have to play it on SCN Canal on channel 8 Fort Clayton, channel 10 Fort Davis, and then have some people throw some comments in, and we'll go ahead and rate this. And we'll give it our own Siskel and Ebert.
So I just wanted to kind of remind people that we had a Zonian that made a scary movie. It's Halloween. Maybe you want to do something fun. Maybe your kids will like it.
Movies.
And then the other part of it too is that
we need to reach out to the mayor of Panama and get her on a star on their new Walk of Fame down there.
All right, yeah. So the next one was when I was at the reunion. Largo was there.
Yes.
I hadn't seen her in 50 years because I was only like 9 years old when she lived next door.
Yeah, I love it.
she's a little bit older than me, and so I saw her there, and I told her that we had talked about her on your show and stuff,
Oh, that's awesome.
and she didn't put a restraining order on me. So
There you go. Then so you got the green light, brother.
all right, so
Oh, very
she
good.
probably didn't know who I was, but
Who is this
the heck.
crazy fan?
All right, so I just want to give an update on it.
Oh, heck yeah.
All right, so then coming up October 10th is the day that the Gamboa Dike was exploded. You know the
Yeah.
the Chagres River took a bend at Gamboa and went north, and then they made the cut going to Balboa, and they put in a berm. Basically, ended up being a dike.
Sure.
When they were digging it, it wasn't a dike. It was probably well open, and then right before they were going to flood it, they built a dike, a dam, earthen dam. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, and real quick before we move on, I just wanted to put something up on the screen here that Vern just threw up there real quick. Hold on, Ricky. That the Cristobal in 1914 we just talked about, and then in 1979, at the end of the American era of the Canal Zone, or the beginning of the end, I guess you could call it. The second Cristobal went through, so it's kind of fitting that it would start and finish when it was all pure Canal Zone before it became
Yeah.
Panama Canal Company and Commission and all that stuff. That the Cristobal played a role at the beginning and the end.
The other interesting thing that I read is on the 25th anniversary, the Ancon went through again. They had
How about that?
They had the president of Panama and others got on the boat, and they did it again.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, and then Jim's chiming in. And finally found you. Largo was in our class. Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were having their class reunion and
Yeah.
it's like, I know who that is. I mean, I recognize her from 50 years back, but her father was a teacher at Corundu. He taught band class. He taught me how to play the trombone. Her mom,
Yeah, me
they
the
lived
drum.
next door, and she taught piano, so I had to take piano. I still
Right
can't
on.
play it, but he loved to fish. That's all I know.
Cool,
But
man.
the next one. This is Gothel's in the center, and they're standing on the dike at Gamboa. You can see the Gamboa Bridge, so that's looking north.
Okay.
North up, and then Paraiso would be to your right, and then going, to where Gorgona was, and all that stuff would be on the left. But they're standing on this dike, and you can see all these.
Oh, of course. I didn't realize what you were saying there. Yeah, they're standing on the dike. I'm thinking, wait a minute, you sure about that? But yes, that's right. So they're looking up this Chagres River. It would be flowing away from them.
Well, yeah, the Chagres River would be flowing. Well, I guess it
From their
flows
back to their front.
right. So they're looking towards the west bank.
Mm-hmm. Yes, correct.
And you can see all these like holes. That's where they were putting dynamite and stuff in.
Oh, right on. And so that last guy on the end there, to his left, is the entrance to Culebra Cut.
Yep.
But it's all dirt and stuff because that's what the
Right.
dike was there to allow the.
Well, the
construction
Culebra
and
Cut was
digging.
on the right side.
I thought it was
No.
between. Oh, it was after Gamboa.
After Well,
Right.
it's between Paraiso and Gamboa.
Yeah, Culebra cuts in between, right?
Yeah. So it would be to his left there.
To his left.
The guy that's facing you on the end there. The guy with the tie, the very
With the
prominent
short tie, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna. Well, I mean,
Culebra, if he's facing us to his left, if he points
but his,
to the left,
I guess so. I'm thinking, yeah, because I'm
yeah,
the other way.
because we're
Right,
facing
exactly.
the other way.
Right.
Exactly. So when he looks down there is the entrance to the Culebra Cut.
Well, we got some other photos that might show that a little bit better. But I just wanted you to know that Goethals was there watching this. This is a big event
Sure.
happening. The next one, you can see a little bit more of the dike.
Oh yeah.
This is the guy that probably took the picture. I think this is Red Hallen, and he's the one that took all those famous Canal Zone
Oh yeah.
things that we see.
Sure.
I believe this is who that is.
Okay.
But
like
you can
scoping
see
it out for some other pictures.
Yeah, but you can see the dike. He's standing on it. Basically, it's crosses the whole canal.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when they were digging, like when Teddy Roosevelt dug, he was just down from on on the right side of this image.
Yeah.
That was Bassa Bispo, and it was all dry.
Sure.
But then they had to flood it
Right.
eventually. So we got an image on that coming up. But the next image, and this one is from Canal Zone Images. They got a great website, all types of stuff. They got photos. It's like they must be AI because they've got all the shots. But you can see how this dike is crossing the canal
Yeah.
right there.
And yet it's flooded on both sides, but obviously that's controlled, and they, let water in as they started doing
Yeah,
construction.
because when the two steam shovels hit the
right
base, then they flooded it, and then they dredged out
it
the
was
rest of
easier to
the
dredge it out when it was wet.
right. So they
Yeah.
spent several months dredging after they did the dry stuff, and
Yeah.
then they had all those slides that they had to clear out, but they already had the dredges there.
Right.
The dredges were there already, so they didn't not like they had to move them in. They probably had to do some of that, but you can see the dike how it blocked it. So even though there was water on both sides, up until October 10th, you couldn't transit. From
yeah, right.
coast to
You got a
coast.
dike in the way.
Right. All right. So let's go to the next one. And so this one you can see where they've turned on this. There's actually some movies online. You go on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Seen stills. So this one they crank the valve and the water starts flowing. So it was dry on the right side.
Yeah.
And they opened it up, and the Chagres River water went and filled up, Miraflores and
right.
And Pedro, I don't know how long that took. Probably, a week or two.
I would think, right?
Yeah, but that's how the water got in there. Is that they
I imagine it's probably easier to do it and probably safer to control it that way as opposed to just blowing up a dike and then just having this
all the water rush, right? Yeah, so it wasn't like dry on one side and
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was that's why they called it a dike, because then all of a sudden it's holding back the water. So
yeah,
but I could probably go through the canal records and find actually when they installed that dike.
Sure.
Because at some point, I'm sure the railroad was running on the bottom of that. They were using that as their highway.
Yeah.
But again, they had these big valves that let the water in through the cut. So then the next one, the dike blows. You can see people, standing there watching it. And the interesting thing about this is that President Wilson was in Washington, D.C., and he pressed the button
right
in Washington, D.C. to detonate this dynamite. And basically it was telegram, and it went by cable from D.C. to like Texas down,
That's amazing to think about the route that signal traveled before it actually hit Panama.
Yeah, I bet the
Back in
people there on the
1914.
yeah, and the people there on the right, Willie, looks like they're going to get showered with a mud bath.
Yeah, right.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay. Oh, that's a good angle of it there. Now you can see what would become Gamboa.
Yeah, so you can see looking towards Gamboa. There's no Gamboa there.
Right, no kidding.
The bridge is there.
I do see the Whitlocks though.
Yeah.
And you can see how deep they were putting that dynamite in, because as that explosion takes place, even the water's lifting up underneath it. So that wasn't just the surface. That's from way down there coming up.
Yep. So I just thought those were cool pictures, and we need
pictures. Excellent.
And this is a big thing. So go to the next one, and you can see it's an explosion.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
I mean, that's the 4th of July, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
We needed to have an October 10th down there, and then just bring the army out and say, what's the biggest shell you've got? Let it go.
Oh, target practice.
Let's put a Chiva bus under there.
Yeah.
Let it fly. But
look at that. What a great angle that is.
And this one, I'm giving credit to Carlos Andata. He was a Panamanian photographer, and he took wonderful photos as well. If you can find his stuff, and I think Panama Old School put this up. They do a lot of his photos on there.
Yeah.
Great stuff. But you can see Gothel's motor car there in the bottom.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone's back.
Yeah, you're in a good football field at least. Nobody. More.
Will Benninghalf's not there. He's not running out ahead.
Heck no. No
But
way, man. And can you imagine
and
how loud that thing had to have been?
yeah,
I'm
and
sure they had a countdown. Otherwise, that would have been something else.
and my grandmother told me that she was there as a baby.
Wow.
She was only a couple months old, but her parents wanted to go watch it. They lived right there. Well, they lived in Gorgona, but I think at this time Gorgona was flooded
Sure.
and they had moved to Empire. But she was there when this exploded.
That's great,
Her
man.
parents were there, and so I always look at these pictures to see if I can see like a lady holding a
Yeah,
baby.
somebody holding a baby like, hey, there's
Yeah,
grandma.
right. So who knows?
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, so go to the next one. All right,
All right. So
so
where
where am I?
is this person?
It's not a person.
Where is this sign? Well, it's definitely not Balboa.
Yeah,
Um,
but Panama Canal Zone, U.S. Army Recruiting Center. Where the heck is this?
I'm trying to read the flag over there. It's on the end and in between the American flags. And wherever 39
It's got.
Whitehall Street is, I mean, it's got to
It's
be a
got.
big, the New York City or something.
Yeah, if you can zoom in on the images, it's got like bohíos, and
Yeah.
it's got there's a ship transiting through the canal, and I think one of them is like an artillery gun.
Yeah, no, it won't let me
All
zoom in.
right, so go to the next one.
That's cool.
It's
Yeah.
New York City. 39 Whitehall Street is in New York City.
Okay.
So, you know, they were using Panama Canal as a recruiting tool. You know,
Amazing.
it's like, hey, of
Mhm.
all the places to put on a recruiting, Panama Canal
Yeah, who would have thought,
in
huh?
New York City, not
In New
Times
York
Square
City, you can get a
necessarily,
Zonian from New York City.
but there you go. Panama Canal
Oh, I
is
love it.
out in there. So that's where it's like, where am I? Because I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I know when my dad was in the service, they they go out of basic, and it's like, okay, where are you going to go? And I guess they give you like a list of potential
Right.
places to go. And he said one of the places was Panama Canal, and he's like, that sounds fun. And he got it, and he's like, everyone in his class was like, can I trade?
Oh, nice. Look
Can
at
I
that.
trade? Can I trade? And he came down in January of like 1952 or so.
Well, this was still one of those eras in America where America was still that coming out party, becoming a
Yeah.
global player. And so that Panama Canal was probably celebrated quite a bit in newsreels
Mhm.
and stuff in the US. And so the thought of the Panama Canal then was like, wow, this is that place where all these heroes were that
Mhm.
that that
Right.
that built America out there,
Right.
And that's cool,
Yeah.
man.
So go on the next one. So this one I'm calling it Canal Zone World War II ish, and I'm gonna call it amplification because
Okay.
they called the widening of the canal amplification. And what
Okay.
I'm saying is that during this time, the World War was amplifying. There was a
Okay.
1939, 1933, the Nazis started taking power.
Sure.
1939, the war was starting.
Okay.
U.S. was neutral until later, and things started escalating, and
Sure.
and military operations in the canal started escalating with that.
Okay.
So that's the story I'm going to tell, and lead up to the end.
Right
All
on.
right. So go to the next one. So even from the beginning, this is a book that was written in 1914, and they already had these. Can the Panama Canal be destroyed
Right.
from the air? And you
Mhm.
see this guy in this plane, with the bomb. He's going to
Yeah.
bomb the
Love
Panama
that.
Canal. So it's always been on the mind of
Sure.
folks that just bomb it and it's done, right?
It's
Right.
done. Yeah, no, the Japanese planned to bomb the canal and Pearl Harbor at the same time, but of
Yeah.
course
Look at this guy, man.
they couldn't
So,
figure out
Boy, I
a
wish we had somebody who would
plan.
come on
no,
our show and tell us about that. That would be awesome.
but that's why there's the fortifications and the
Yeah.
Causeway Islands and then Cristobal and Fort Sherman and all that stuff, because it was a real concern that someone was going to take it out.
And it shows that even from day one, the
Mhm.
canal had prominence in the world, and it was
Yeah,
something that
sure,
people
sure.
thought about when they're looking at
And
their global conquest plans. And
Right.
well, what about the Panama
Yeah.
Canal?
Right. Exactly. So it's, canal protection, military. Basically, it was a military canal when
Yeah.
it was first because they needed to get the ships from
Mhm.
East Coast to West Coast or Atlantic to Pacific
Certainly.
um, soon. And then commerce was like, hey, if we said we're going to build a war machine, people are going to say no. But if we said we're going to do it for commerce and economic development,
I'm all in.
I'm all in. Yeah. So but then we can get both.
Yeah. Yeah. Kill two
But
birds with one stone.
a general built the canal, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Goethals never wore a uniform. Can you
Interesting.
imagine that? Interesting.
Hmm.
So,
Especially overseas.
I mean, for a military man, that's
Yeah.
just
It's
seems
unheard
like
of.
very, very, very,
It seems like it's breaking protocol.
yeah.
You would think. But hey.
So, all right. So go to the next one. So this is a movie flyer, 1942, and Canal Zone, and look, you can see the airplanes and they're going to attack the canal and all that stuff, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have to look
this
that
is
one up.
so from the beginning of time, the Panama Canal and being attacked was a thing,
I love it. And they're not saying the Panama Canal, they're saying Canal Zone.
right?
I love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
And it
great.
says scorching the skies over the world's most dangerous powder keg.
Yes, indeed. The whole
So we
world's
live.
watching.
Hey, let's go live in the world's most dangerous powder keg.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
hell no, I'm going to Gaza.
Yeah, right. This is the target here. Target
No,
zero.
it's like, yeah. So, but that's so people. It was a dangerous place. I mean, we
Yeah.
think it's paradise, but other people like,
Yeah. If
I
a
gotta
war
live.
war breaks out,
The
that's when it's gonna
bugs.
get hit.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. So they had defense plans, way back when too,
Yeah.
and so when we talked about all those defense sites that the U.S. had, looking for German submarines and stuff, they had plans that said this is the most likely places, the primary and secondary places where like land invasions would happen or could happen. These weren't invasion plans by the U.S. These were where an enemy would likely go. So where do we need to have defenses? And then they have these circles about um, defense areas. Like basically it's the ranges of those cannons and stuff that they had. How far they needed to be able to
Sure.
protect from. Um, Probably they knew the range of guns on a ship, how far out you know, it could be before it could reach the shore, and then how far the planes had to go out and do reconnaissance and those types of things. So, um, this is World War II era where they're looking at how do we defend this place, and that's basically half the Panama right there that
Yeah,
they
no
had
kidding.
to defend. All right, so next
Wow,
one.
that's fascinating. What a great map.
This one was for you, Will. The pith helmets.
Yes, the pith helmets. There they
They
are.
had the pith helmets,
It's
and
part of
these guys
Panama.
are. I mean, when you talk about guarding the Panama Canal,
They're literally guarding it.
they're literally walking around the edge of it. I
Look
mean,
at
I don't
that
know what
with
they're going to
guns in
do
hand.
there, but
Yeah. Ship,
anyway,
shoot it.
probably,
Presents.
probably just for this video that they created.
Right. Yes. Yeah, a little propaganda footage. Although
Propaganda.
maybe for saboteurs,
Right.
somebody that walking on there is going to
Exactly. Oh my
charges
gosh,
it.
there's people all over the place.
Yeah.
But then the next one, we've talked about this before, is that the notice says no taking of photographs
Look at
on
that.
this reservation prohibited. So there was a time where you couldn't take photographs.
Sure.
Um,
And this guy's like,
and
dude, I'll let you take the picture, but I got to cover my face, man, because I'm going to get in
yeah,
trouble.
yeah. But then, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I'll just go ahead and say it now. But there were like Japanese tourists
Right.
that took photographs.
Of course.
And of course, they were just tourists, right? And so they got in trouble.
Sure. That
Yeah,
makes
we
sense.
talked about that when we talked about the entrance
Yeah.
camps.
And even if, like in Pearl Harbor, there were Japanese that
Of
took
course.
photographs and all that other stuff. But that was part of it, is that they didn't want
Give any intel.
any intel, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was illegal, for not just for but for Zonians, anyone to take it.
Yeah.
So this
No
next one I
kidding.
thought was pretty cool. I've never seen this before, but this one is like, looks like it's Fort San Lorenzo, and you've got all these Spanish cannonballs, and then the sign says,
That's
"Don't throw the cannonballs
hilarious.
over the cliff. You may kill somebody."
That probably means
Further,
somebody has been killed by doing that.
Yeah,
Further, every cannonball thrown over the cliff has to be carried back by a member of, and it's censored.
Yeah, that is hilarious, man.
But I guess what I'm trying to show here is that every inch of the canal zone was patrolled.
Yeah, no
You know,
kidding,
even
man.
like San Lorenzo, there were people there, and so that's what I want to show is that these aren't bases necessarily, but this was
And, you know,
how
and it
much.
shows how much that region has always been one that was going to be subject to attack. It's so
Mhm.
important that even
Right.
in the 1500s, you had to have,
Well,
strong
that
defenses.
fort was built in the 1500s.
Yeah, exactly. So Panama has been such an important crossroads that it to this day we don't stop talking about
Right.
it, and,
All
and
right.
somebody wants a piece of that always.
Mm-hmm. All right. So go. The next one is um, this is the PT Bow base
Oh, look at
in
that.
Toboga. We've talked about that
Mhm.
before, and
John F. Kennedy was stationed there.
I think he's the guy on the left on that pier.
Wow.
Okay,
I don't know, but I mean, he could be.
looks like him.
Yeah.
All
Let's
right.
go with it. That's him.
That's him. But El Moro was the place, that island right there. That's where their base was. But they did the
Yeah.
training out there, and so
Amazing how
even
big those PT
Toboga
books are too,
had
man.
bases. They had bases there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had
Just
an
to remind
intern
you
camp
that.
there as
So
well.
go to the next one, and then this is I think in Pier 18 area. But
Okay.
the ships would dock, and this one has the float planes on it, so you can see
Mhm.
all the sailors all lined up, getting ready to go on shore leave.
Yeah.
You don't really see that so much, but the next one, you can see the people are disembarking on the boats.
Yeah. Look at
You can
that. Look at the admin in the back.
the admin in the back. You can almost see that field where the ball fields are now. I
Mhm.
think the
And you see
ficus
a freshly cut Ancon Hill too.
and yep, and the ficus trees look like they're low still, and I guess it's the roundhouse. I don't know, but you can see all the sailors, and they used to call it like the Great White Wave when they'd come, and
Nice.
so they'd go into Panama City and
Oh,
all
what a
those
great
bars right
picture that
at
is,
the
man.
at the limits they would call
Yeah.
it.
Sure.
So that was a time that you had all these sailors coming in, and we never saw that when I was there. You never saw military like gangs of them coming in off the ships and
Now, you
stuff.
know what? I wonder, looking below the admin to the right of it, that building there, the one that's got the black and white on it, is that like the old junior or middle school or whatever? Because it looks too close to be the where the Balboa Elementary School was.
There was a magistrate's building right there at the
Oh,
base.
that's what that was. Yes, yes. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool.
Mhm.
Wow, what a great picture.
God, look at Quarry Heights. Was that Morgan Avenue?
That's Coy
Yeah,
Heights.
That is
yeah, that's
Quarry
cool.
Heights.
That's the thing. You got a
Yeah.
freshly cut hill back there.
That
And
the
yeah, the
line of
trees aren't grown up where you can't see all those houses.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you normally couldn't see that. That's like that
No,
Colonel's Row or whatever that
Right,
was up there.
exactly. Right.
that's cool. What a great
Yeah.
picture,
So that's why I
man.
put images like this in there because it has these little special things that you can't see.
Absolutely
But
beautiful.
not only do they have, the regular bases, go to the next one. These guys were out in the bush. And so this one they have pack mules carrying a howitzer,
Look at that.
and it's in pieces, and they're carrying it up to hilltops and stuff like that. And so these guys were not only in bases, they were out in the canal zone,
What
hiding.
was that hill that Bud Tristano was telling us about behind Howard? Goat Hill, wasn't it? Goat Hill.
Yep.
And that was up there. It went up there, and they could see
Yeah.
all of the Pacific and the canal
Well,
entrance and everything. For this, that's probably one of those that there because you got a great vantage point to see
right.
any kind of invading force.
Exactly. All right. So go to the next one. So they're up there and they got their
Yeah.
machine guns and stuff, and they're hiding out, and they're
Mhm.
probably bored out of their mind because nothing's happening, but
Yeah.
and
Where the hell's
hot
this
and
invasion coming?
sawgrass and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
these guys, that's what they did. They went out and protected the canal from intruders, and we'll probably never know how many they actually caught, but
Right.
there may have been some. And then
And then,
like
that
these,
continued on, outside of the war and
yeah,
everything. That
sure.
was the military that was around us when we grew up. This is what they were doing.
Right. But I mean, I think during the war, it was
Oh yeah,
a
certainly
lot of
much
them. A
more
lot of them.
and much more urgency. There's probably a lot more
Yeah.
realism because at any moment they may show up actually.
So this next image, is like some of the little makeshift camps that they'd make out
Yeah.
in the
Like a
jungle,
mash.
and I can't find it, but I had at one time I had an image that showed like they were out in like Gatun Lake, and they had a boat come bring in their supplies and their case of beer.
Oh, right on.
They
There
got
you
a
go.
case of beer and stuff like
Makes
that. But
sense.
they're
It's a hardship.
basically out there in the canal with nothing until
Right.
someone comes with their supply, once a
Heck
week or
yeah.
whatever like that. But you never really hear about these types of things. But back
No.
then they had these things were all over. And that's why I keep on saying these guys, if they had cameras and all the stuff that they went and saw and did, I want to see those photos. My
Yeah.
gosh. So we need those military. It's like a different canal zone.
It really is.
And let's find out about their canal zone.
Like the
This next one
military
I thought was
dimension.
pretty interesting because these guys are from New York
New
and they're
York
all on camera. You
City.
can't even see them,
Hope.
but they're voting for their New York election. They're out in the middle of the jungle doing their ballots.
Halt. What do you want? I got to vote, man.
We're voting for Guardia.
I got to say, I'm not impressed with the camo on those things,
Wow,
but
look
all
at
right.
that! Look at that little piece of information there from Captain Andrew.
What's that?
During World War II, the military shot 5 Axis sailors during transits.
Wow. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, all
Scary
right.
dog.
So this next one, anti-aircraft gun. So these were out like at Amador and stuff, but they had them all over.
Yeah.
We showed pictures where they had it around the spillway. Remember, they had like several anti-aircraft nests.
And you know what's interesting is when you're not familiar with artillery pieces and their size and everything, that's a 3-inch gun. But look at the size of that barrel and the size of the opening. So when you say if you don't know these, you're 3-inch. Well, 3-inch was 3-inch, But that's what a 3-inch gun is, man. So you imagine what a 15-inch gun is. All those other ones.
Yeah, and then shortly after this image, they put in 9-inch because this was just too small.
Isn't that amazing? That's a decent sized gun, man. At 3 inches.
And the next one is the same. I think it's the same crew, but this happens to be in one of the videos. And you can find these videos of these guys, and they're out there doing that stuff. And so I just take screenshots of them and put them in here and stuff. But this is Path. There's another pond. I think is the other pond 5 has stuff.
Pond
but
5 has quite a few.
But the reason I show these anti-aircraft guns because this next slide. And this guy, his name is Mickey Harris. And in 1941, he was a major league player. He got called up after anti-aircraft training in Virginia. He was sent to the Panama Canal Zone in 1942. So then he played baseball for the Balboa Brewers. He was a pitcher in the highly competitive Canal Zone League.
So we need to get a hold of the Ciceros and find out if they played together. Because remember, the grandpa came down, and played a lot of ball down here. After he had his injury, he couldn't play in the States.
And so he had military duty. So he went. He was actually called to go play for the all-service team against the American League All-Stars at the Cleveland Municipal Stadium in 1942. So
nice.
He was such a good player. They're like, "Hey, you're playing for the Army. Come on up." And then he went back to the Canal Zone and he got married on August 1944 at St. Mary's Church in Balboa. So
very cool.
Can you imagine that? So
very cool.
And then he left in 1945. But he played for the Boston Red Sox.
Oh, right on.
And I was thinking about him last night when they lost. But anyway.
Go Yankees.
Woo. But he played for the Balboa Brewers. They had a major league pitcher playing for him. I mean, come on. Come on.
And they call it the highly competitive Canal Zone League. That would be interesting to follow up on that and get some history on it.
Guys, they interviewed Bruce Bochy after he won the World Series with Texas, and they asked him, "Where did you learn how to play ball?" And he said, "In the very competitive league of the Canal Zone." He played Howard.
Yes.
He played for Howard. Yeah.
So go to the next one.
I bet the Ciceros have some stuff with this.
So this is the Balboa Brewers in 1915.
Yeah,
so this is 30 years before.
And there's El Prado. Look how small the palm trees are.
Yeah, Tanya and I lived on that street.
I'd never heard of the Balboa Brewers.
No, never have. Never have.
Those guys, they were around for over 30 years. Never heard of them.
That's
It's our
interesting. I
bones.
wonder if we known if maybe more Zonians would have been fans of the Milwaukee Brewers, having that connection, that name.
Well, there was a Zoni that played for the Milwaukee Brewers. That would be
Yeah. Jaime.
Kokenauer. Yeah, Jaime Kokenauer.
And Ben Ogilvy.
Oh,
Yes,
Panamanian,
that's right.
that's right.
All right, so let's go to the next one.
Whoa, that was the Searchlights.
Searchlights, yeah,
Look
and I
at
think this is Amador.
I was going to say it looks like Amador.
That they're on the baseball field there, and you can see the barracks in the background. That's what's kind of lit up. Because I've seen a photograph, and I couldn't find it anymore, that these searchlights, they're like 6 feet in diameter,
Yes.
and they're on the back of trucks. So they were mobile.
Yeah.
But, so they had these things, and I was talking to my mom last week, and she says that she remembers searchlights.
Wow.
So, she would have been a little girl back then, but I mean,
Sure.
that's probably something you don't forget.
No, heck
Especially
no.
since they had to black out their windows
Right.
at night and stuff. If you saw a light, it probably was something. So, all right, so let's go to the next one. And this is just a searchlight. You can kind of see how big they are. And
Yeah, those things are massive, man.
just kind of one of the things that was, common in the Canal Zone, but we never saw.
Mm-mm.
All right, so next one, again, another Canal Zone images. These are the like smudge pots, smoke screens.
Yeah,
You see the
heck
guy
Yeah,
setting
that's
it
right.
off.
We had a whole bunch of those, correct.
All right, so go on to the next one, and you can see that like the Pedro McGill locks. They just started it off,
Yep.
and then to go to the next one, and
Holy shit.
so basically they're hiding the
Yeah, heck
locks
yeah.
from aerial attacks.
Well, you remember back then, you don't have a lot of radar on an aircraft.
Yeah,
That
only America
precision.
had radars. The
and they weren't
Japanese
precise to
didn't.
that point.
They were just putting in radar. Remember
Yeah.
for Pearl Harbor, they saw something, but they didn't know what it
That's what I'm
was.
saying, no accuracy to it. Certainly
Yeah,
nothing that would
right.
allow you to hit
Right.
see through this and hit
Yeah,
something.
so it was in its infancy. So this is what they had to do, and at one point, I presented where between like Louisa Hill and Paraiso, Pedro McGill, they ran a cable, and they had a net that they ran through, so that if a plane came through it, there would be a net.
Oh, because it was
And
for
then
torpedo bombers coming in
somebody
low.
hit it, and it killed somebody, and they never put it back up. But
Wow.
so that was another defense that they put in.
That's crazy.
I'd love to see a photo of that.
Yeah, no kidding.
So in the next one, this is a dirigible. Basically these things were kind of, I guess they
call
were
those
like
barrage
obstacles.
balloons. Yeah,
You
the
can't
barrage
fly
balloons, they
through one
call
of
them.
these things, take a plane out. So
Well,
these were
usually
all
what
over.
you see these a lot on pictures of D-Day in Normandy.
right,
They're called barrage
exactly.
balloons. They have them all strung along there.
Right.
And what they would do, basically, they just stayed up there and they had cables hanging down.
Right.
And so in any aircraft flying through, you don't see the cable. You see the balloon, but you don't see the cable. And all of a sudden, your wings.
Right, because there's like a curve in it. So if you can see that the barge here, there's a lot of cables.
Yeah.
And so these were I guess quite common.
Oh yeah.
Around there too. And then the other thing, this was a little bit pre-World War II, but I just thought it was cool.
Look at that.
Was the blimp? This is the Indianapolis,
U.S.
USS.
over Sosa Hill.
That's over Sosa Hill. Yeah,
Wow.
this is more of the 20s, 30s, like more like 31 or so.
From
32.
that angle, Ricky, that almost looks like it's taken right near your house.
That's Sosa. Look, we have a Diana Hernandez from Mexico watching our show. Hello, Diana.
Oh, very good.
So you can see that's a house on the Prado and the trees, and it's
you can
close enough
definitely
that
see
it's in the middle of El Prado. It's not at the
Palms.
end.
Yeah, that's probably right from my house.
That's what I'm saying. That angle, it's close. It's halfway up El Prado. It's not at the beginning of it.
That's Tinker's house in front and Robert Woods, and across from that was Leif Solis' house.
All right, so let's go to the next one. And Cristobal got in the action. There it is, Cologne Bay.
The consolation prize.
But this airship had a tragic ending. It got caught in a lightning storm off the coast of New Jersey, and crashed, and basically think Hindenburg over the water.
All right. Okay. Interesting.
And it was just several months before the Hindenburg, but no one's there to see it.
Right. Doesn't get the same notoriety.
So it had a tragic history.
I'll never forget watching as a kid a video somewhere of. It was one of those big blimps like that, but I was out west somewhere in California, maybe in like Edwards or one of those things out there. And and they drop that rope to tie it down, and you'd have literally 30, 40, 50 people all standing down. Everybody grab a piece of the rope, and next a massive gust of wind started pulling that up. And of course, people letting go, except for like the last 3 or 4 didn't let go until it was too
I
late.
think
And
I've seen that picture.
yes, and I mean it went way up, and finally, of course, they couldn't hold on anymore. But that was awful. What a trip!
All
That's
right.
what mine
So
would
next one. This one's for Captain Andrew. I'm glad he's on
be. Ooh.
Amador, and you can see the very bottom of the picture on the left side. That white roof would be where the officers' club is,
Yep. Yep.
and then the grassy area would be where the parking lot was. And then you see these 4 concrete wedges. Those were batteries. Those were like anti-aircraft
Oh yeah,
batteries.
yeah, yeah. You can see
And
2
those
and
the
2. They're paired
second
up.
one there on the left is Captain Andrew's house is built on that. His childhood house.
Right. Okay.
And mine was the first one on the left. I live there, and
And I remember the if you follow the road along the water to the right there, those set of houses on the curves there, that first one there, that was the general's house. That's where the general lived. That's where I
Yeah.
remember in my time there, Mike Warner
right,
lived there. His
yeah,
dad was General
that
Warner
was
there.
like General's Row,
Newer
but
was during my
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
but
a lot of
but
parties
the
there.
but the area with the batteries there, that got rebuilt. So
Right.
like the housing got built over it. The road network is a little bit different, but
You can just see my old neighborhood right on
yeah,
Bamboo and stuff, right
right,
before what would have been the gate.
hmm,
That's that double row of houses there.
right.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Wow.
This is a great picture, man. And of course the Balboa Yacht Club's there.
Balboa Yacht Club, yep.
I love it.
Oh, you can see it sticking out, right? Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah, no
right,
kidding,
exactly.
man.
It's Pacific Sailfish Club, I think back then.
But this is such a great perspective that shows you what Amador and Balboa and all that was, because you see at the end of the bay there, not further past that is the that's the Gavilan area.
Right,
Just past that is you can see the beginnings of Sosa Hill, and there's
right.
Balboa, and you can even see Barnaby and El Prado over there at the end.
Hmm.
What a great picture, man!
Wow.
All right, go to the next one. And this one just showed up on Facebook not too long ago,
Oh,
so
look
I
at
put
that!
it back in. But this is Gatun, but I'm sure all of them were painted in camouflage. You can see the
Yeah, no
camouflage.
kidding.
Agreed.
People were
Yeah.
wondering why it was half painted. It's like
Right?
is during the war, so they
Yeah,
painted
no kidding,
those.
man.
And I've never really seen that building painted, but
No.
I had seen the lamppost painted. So we go to the next one. And this one is, the
Oh yeah,
South
look at
Dakota
them.
is transiting. So this is 1943, and you can see that the lampposts were painted to camouflage as well. And
And see, this is where it gives you the importance of the canal, and that's why the Japanese wanted to bomb it, because you're in the middle of World War II here in 1943, and you have
Mhm,
a battleship transiting, which means that was the strategic use of it to say, hey, change theaters of battle and do it without having to go all the way around South America.
yeah.
Huge advantage to the Americans.
Supplies, and most
Heck
ships, I
yeah.
guess, couldn't military ships couldn't fit through. In fact,
Well, other than the carriers, most of them could.
those light posts had to be removed
Yeah.
because the aircraft carrier
Right.
knocked them over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're actually, these lampposts are right on the banks of the canal in Paraiso, and Andrew and I went looking for them, and we could see them down in the bottom, but to get to them is a little bit difficult.
Wow, interesting.
But they're there, and they
That's
took them out.
amazing.
So,
I
and
never
then the
even heard of
tops,
them.
the tops are, we've talked about the tops.
Yeah, those balls.
Those
They're all
got
over the
placed around the
place.
canal zone, but
And
that's
in
why
San
they're there,
Antonio.
is because they were, they got in the way of the military ships.
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
they're all painted white, but they could have been painted camouflage. I mean, they
Yeah.
might say, "What the heck?" So
That's probably what they did. That's why they hit it. They knocked
Someone
that
got
one
a
over. They
nice
couldn't see it.
contract.
go to the next one. So those are just close up.
They look like giraffes.
They do look like giraffes, don't they? Giraffe lights. All right,
That's funny.
and then go to the next one. I think we've showed this one before, but one of the things I mean, these were um, the Pacific fortifications on tops of these hills. But what I wanted to show in this image is when you look at the Port of Balboa, you can see that like mud bank that kind of
Yeah.
sticking in there. And if that area between the Balboa and that mud bank, it would have been the French Canal, because it originally it would come and it curved, and then it would have come out, and then right where the officers club is,
Yeah.
that's where the French Canal would have kept on going, and then the ships would have been coming between the shore and the island there. That the French Canal was the route that was going to go, and you can still kind of see the old French Canal in that image, the remnant of it, just that area. It was dredged out.
And
Um,
I wonder, Dave, if even the causeway, which at that point still looks like a rail line more so than an actual
right,
road causeway,
right.
but you notice how much there's land sticking up on the sides of it, which our experience of causeway was it was always right from the edge. It was deep water, so I guess they dredged on both sides of that eventually.
Well, they dredged the canal. I think there's a bunch of mud flats.
That's what I'm saying. But remember
Yeah.
when I mean, even low tide or high tide, when we went to the causeway, you never saw any mud flats along the edges of the causeway like you see in the picture there. If you go
Well,
halfway down that causeway, you never saw any of that
there's some areas that have mud flats.
along the causeway.
Yeah, like where Alf Sprague's memorial is.
That's
That
right towards the end there, near the Smithsonian.
it's like in the middle. See where like you can see some flats like right close to the
Yeah, I
where it's
see those
bending.
there, but I don't remember seeing that stuff when we were down there. That's what I'm saying. When we were down there, low or high tide, I never saw mud flats out in the middle of the causeway ever. It was water.
Yeah.
I mean, right
Well,
from the edge, it
this
was all
picture was
rock.
100 years ago. I mean,
That's what I'm asking. I'm assuming that
Yeah.
they dredged on both sides of that. Is my point.
and I think what I see in this bottom picture, the bottom island, is that they probably dug out some um, outposts and stuff, and that's like when you see Mount Rushmore. All the
Yeah.
all the debris just gets shoved down the hill, and I think that's why you see like
They flattened the top of
vegetation
it. They just
that
they
they've
shaved the top of it off.
they dug the tunnels and stuff that go in
Yeah.
there, and this is just all the debris. They just
Sure.
kicked it off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll bet if you look at older pictures, these islands have a peak to them, and here they've got a flat top, and that's
Right,
probably
exactly.
a lot of that.
Right.
Interesting.
All right, so let's go to the next one.
There we go.
And I had to put this one in. This is Fort Gulick, and these are U.S. Army nurses. And I'm like, what the heck are they doing? I guess they were just doing training out there. I mean,
Maybe, yeah.
but just all a bunch of female nurses and stuff, and so they must have had something going on. And
Well,
Fort Gulick,
the Pacific Theater was all jungle, so there's got to be
yeah.
some
So
type of like
yeah, they must
That
have had
makes
some
sense.
type of
insects.
training.
That would be the training, yeah, for a kind of jungle diseases and jungle care and all that.
It'd be
Makes sense.
interesting to see, but just kind of a unique thing because it's not something I don't remember seeing a lot of female military.
Yeah.
Down
No,
there.
Ricky, I
and
bet you're
this-
onto something. And that this, if anything, would mimic the Pacific Theater terrain and weather and climate, it would be Panama.
Well, they had the wax in the World War II, the woman air
Right.
stuff, and so it's just a little bit unique. And then
Yeah.
the next one is really unique as well.
Look at Santa.
Santa Claus. It's just like I don't know exactly sure when this picture was taken. I just had to put it in there because it's
Yeah, look at that.
and Christmas time, and it just made me think about the next picture.
Mm.
So now we're bringing ourselves up to December 7th,
Yeah.
1941, and that got the U.S. in high gear,
Sure.
involved in the war.
That was it.
So we went from being neutral, but helping out Britain and the Allies to being actively, declaring war.
Yeah.
And we were also holding all the Japanese boats back. We were not letting them bring supplies into their island.
Yeah, so the German boats and the Japanese boats, they weren't coming anywhere near the canal anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one is the Japanese internment that happened, detention. It was basically by the yacht club.
Yeah.
But Germans too.
The Germans and Italians, basically Axis powers.
Sure.
They were all rounded up. This was like within 20 minutes of Pearl Harbor. The call went out, go round up all these people. They already knew who they were, where they were. And it's amazing how well dressed these people are.
Yeah,
But you see in this image, they're all women and children,
sure.
and
Look
they're
at that.
going in. So this was probably December 8th.
Yeah, no kidding.
The next day. It's not labeled, but if I read that 20 minutes later they were doing it, and I heard that they went and
Well,
put
I
this.
mean, there was a lot of tension between Japan and the United States for several
Oh
years.
yeah,
It
sure,
was
right.
the attack was slash unexpected, but there was a lot of talk that there's going to be war between the U.S. and Japan here at
It
some
was,
point. It's
Well,
it was a
inevitable.
brutal attack. I
Yeah,
mean, and it wiped out the whole Pacific Fleet. I
sure
mean,
did.
it was devastating. I mean, we were lucky that we had some aircraft carriers out,
Oh yeah, they were all out at sea. They didn't catch one single
but
carrier in
but
port.
but it was devastating. I mean,
Yeah.
and again, it was shocking, and it basically, now you've woken up
Well,
hell.
and I'm not sure that the United States would have got involved if it wasn't such a shocking attack. I
Mhm.
think if it was smaller things, they would have tried to avoid
Yeah,
it at all costs. But this one, how do you say no when you just get
well,
blindsided to that
yeah,
extent?
right. So the next picture um, is Japanese, and this is all men,
Yes, I
and
was
you
gonna
can
say,
see. It
oh
looks like
man,
you can see the naval headquarters in the background, but
yeah,
basically they built a tent city, and it looks like these people are maybe getting cots,
yeah.
like they're picking up cots, and it's like, take your cot to your tent. Not sure how long they stayed here. I think they shipped them all out to the
I
United
would think so.
States,
This has got to be temporary because,
like Fort
gosh,
Bliss and stuff like
you
that, in
living
Texas and
long
stuff
term in a
like that.
tent in the tropics in Panama is
Um,
probably not a good idea.
but then the next photo, this is a trawler that was owned by a Japanese, and he ran a tuna boat operation, and
Mm,
apparently this boat was outfitted with a very, very high efficient um, diesel engine, underpowered,
of course.
and so it could go long distances, and it would go out tuna fishing and never come back with any tuna.
How about that? So,
And
does a
so it
manu
was
does a
it
manu maru
was
mean bad luck in Japan? Bad luck
I don't
fishing?
know, but apparently it was like the world's worst secret. But
I
this guy was accused of being a spy,
would think so.
and then this next image shows what someone said, that this boat was actually a mine layer,
Oh, look at
and
that.
it was set up to, and that's why it went slow and stuff, because it needed to
To
carry
deploy
all
the
this stuff
mines.
and stuff like that. So whether that's true or not, but this guy was arrested, and so they were looking at people were spying, and he
Yeah.
actually had his business, I think, was out at Toboga,
Oh,
and
wow.
he could see all the ships coming in and going. But the interesting thing too, with all these men that were round up, one of them was German, and he reported that he got put in a building like on Amador, as like, to be held, and then like once a month they'd let him out to go get a haircut, and he'd slip a note to the barber with all the ships that he saw coming in into the canal. 'Cause-
Right below their nose.
yeah,
Continue
so
to
it's
do his
like, all
gig
right.
right below their nose.
But so 1941, rightly, it was December, so 1942, the U.S. gets in battles, and you start getting battles in the South Pacific and the Mariana
Sure.
Islands, and all that type of stuff. And one of the things that they captured was this map that the Japanese had, and it shows basically their primary targets and stuff. And first, it's the islands, so
Yeah.
all the Midway, and
All the Pacific
all the
Islands.
Pacific Islands that we heard about, those battles and stuff.
Yeah.
They're on there. You can see Hawaii is number one as well, Pearl Harbor, and then number two is some other islands, but number
Number 2 is the
three is the
Aleutians.
continental U.S.,
Yeah.
and number four, Panama
Yeah.
Canal. So it was, the U.S. knew that this
It was
was the
a
area
high
they needed to
priority target.
protect, high priority target. So
Yeah,
they
no
knew,
kidding.
you know, um, early on. So they
What a cool
ramped
map,
up,
man.
they ramped up defenses in Panama Canal, because they were expecting either the Japanese or the Germans coming. And then this next image, there's airplanes dive bombing on the Panama
Yeah, look at that.
Canal, shooting it down, and you can look at Balboa. Man,
And the
it's right in the
searchlights.
crosshair. We're gone,
Yeah, no
man. They're
kidding.
like
Front
dead in
and
the water. It
center.
said dangerous place they talked about in that movie,
That's right.
powder keg. So you see this.
Better off living in Gamboa.
I don't know if these are Japanese or German airplanes, but probably some of both. But
Right.
that's the hey, it says the coming attack on the Panama Canal.
It's expected.
It's expected, right? So that's why they had all those aircraft,
Yeah.
anti-aircraft guns and stuff. I mean, they were expecting this to happen.
This is
All right,
the center of the world for so many years, man.
But we heard, I think it was HB that said that he had a relative that was in Doolittle's raid.
Oh, right on. That's right.
All right, so this is Mr. Doolittle.
Jimmy Doolittle.
So April 18th, 1942.
That's the anniversary of Paul Revere's ride.
The U.S. sent attack fleet to go bomb Tokyo.
That's the opening scene of the original Midway movie back in the 70s with Henry Fonda and all those guys. The opening scene is that Doolittle raid. And what was unique about it was they were B-25 bombers that they put on these carriers. They weren't carrier-based aircraft. And the original plan was foiled by a Japanese trawler had snuck into sight. And they saw, they're like, we've got to shoot this guy down before he reports. And they thought maybe he already reported. So let's go ahead and launch our aircraft now.
Yep,
which is why a lot of them ended up having to crash in China because they left the ships much earlier than they wanted to. So they didn't have enough fuel to do the trip they wanted to.
Yeah, it was a one-way trip, for sure. But so this is one of the bombs that those B-25s was carrying, and earlier in the 30s, the U.S. and Japanese, I guess, had better relationships, and the Japanese had given these military officers these friendship medals.
Oh, nice.
So this is Mr. Doolittle or Colonel Doolittle or what, I can't remember what his position was. My apologies there. He's tying those friendship medals on the bomb. I'm gonna give them back.
You're gonna get it back, like it or not.
So there he is, tying it to the bomb.
I love the symbolism.
And the next one, tying
it is.
There.
That's a great shot.
Okay, so then the next one, you can see the B-25s are launching off the aircraft carrier.
The Hornet. The Hornet was one they used.
And those airplanes were stripped down. They basically took their machine guns out and everything out, and like you said, they got caught like 200 miles short of their target, and so they launched, which meant that you're not coming back.
Yeah, and you're not landing; you're crashing. There's not enough fuel to make
China, right? That's where they all
in China. Most of them,
China, but one went to Vladivostok, Russia. But let's go to the next one. So these are the B-25 bombers on the Hornet, en route to Japan. And they were basically stripped down for this mission.
Yeah,
and be able to carry extra. Go to the next one. Extra fuel and stuff. And then this is an image that they took when they went over Yokosuka Naval Base, which basically is just south of Tokyo. This was one of the main military manufacturing Navy training facilities that were there. And so not only did they bomb Tokyo, this is about 15 miles south of Tokyo. They bombed this naval base, and we'll talk about it a little bit later.
And you know what's interesting? You think about this. Look at that date there. We're not even 5 months, barely 5 months into this war, and this is happening. I mean, this is something that the United States had to hit. They had to retaliate.
Right,
exactly.
Right. And you can see it was stripped down planes. You couldn't reach the Japan from the U.S. and vice versa. Japan couldn't reach the U.S.
Correct. And it was all about psychological damage because those things were not going to do a whole lot of damage because they barely had any bombs on them, again, because of the weight issues. But it was just the thought that, hey, already early in the war, we're hitting you. Right. Well, you're going to be a long 4 years.
So April 18th, 1942, the U.S. bombs Tokyo. And you can also see Yokohama, which is that Navy base, Kobe, Hagaya war centers that were raided. So they had these targeted areas to bomb, and go to the next one. They did considerable damage because Tokyo, at that time, a lot of the houses were made out of wood and paper.
100%, yes.
So when you had a bomb, and I think there were the bombs were specially calibrated for this is to catch those buildings on fire. And there were a lot of thousands and thousands of, I think it was like 70,000 people or so that died, and like 1 million people were left homeless.
Well, that was in the later bombings, the incendiary bombings.
I
Yes,
think on this one, though.
no, these were purely psychological, but later on they
Okay.
did that. Yes,
All right.
they wiped out all Japan. They were shocked
Yeah.
that these people were still fighting at the
Mhm.
end there.
So
But
go to
yes,
the
your
next
point,
one.
they
You
were
can
everything was
see
made
this
out of
is
paper and wood, and so it would burn quickly.
okay. So go to the next one. This is like taken out of the plane.
Mhm.
You can see the damage that they're doing. And then this is something that you always see in like London. They have these bucket brigades. The next one where
Right.
they're putting out the fires and all that other
Mhm.
stuff. But I've never really seen one where in Japan they're doing the same thing.
Right.
The
Yeah.
U.S. is the one bombing them, and they're
Correct.
you know you're fighting the fires and stuff. And so you got all these. They go to the next one. These
Buckets were a big deal
response
back then, man.
buckets and stuff. That's how they
Yeah.
did it. But they did damage Tokyo at that
They
time.
did. They did to a point. I mean, it wasn't anything extensive. Like I
Right,
said, it was a
right,
psychological attack more than
yeah.
anything. But
But
to your
yeah,
point, with a place like that, I mean, a candle could set off a whole city block.
right,
Because everything
right.
was paper and
Well,
wood.
like a Chicago fire, right? So
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
so then later, um, the U.S. Sent B-29 bombers, and
Yep.
those came from Tinian Island. My
Hmm.
my wife's father, my father-in-law, was like 18, 19 years old. Was sent to Tinian. They built the airstrips there.
Yeah.
I'm sure these things were flying every 5 minutes. They had no idea what they're doing, but they were dropping napalm
Hmm.
on Tokyo and basically all the cities. And then they also had B-29s that came from China, that bases in China that would come. So like when Doolittle's Raiders finished bombing, they kept on flying. Um, I guess west to China, and
Sure.
they crashed in China because they didn't have enough fuel to make it to an
Yeah.
airfield. But they were safe in China because China was an ally. And
Yeah.
then one of
To a
one of
point.
the raiders went to
Towards the end of the war, it
Russia,
was.
and
Earlier, it
Russia,
wasn't. But
yeah,
you
Russia
know,
was, I think,
no, the
yeah,
Chinese in you got to remember the Japanese had been in war with China since the
yeah,
1930s. They had
yeah,
overrun a lot of those areas. And it was true. Yeah, the original plan had they not been discovered by that trawler, they would have been able to launch from further west and been
mhm,
able to land in the friendly Chinese
yeah.
territories. And unfortunately,
All right,
didn't get a chance to do a lot of those.
all
But
right,
still, it was
yeah.
it was
So
a huge morale booster for
right,
America when the
right.
newspapers came
So
out with
these
Doolittle.
B-29s were built specifically because there was a fear that Great Britain was going to be overrun by the Nazis, and the only way to bomb Germany was to have a plane that could fly from the U.S.
Right.
and bomb and come back. So this was built, but it also worked the other way around. They could fly from China to go to Japan and such. So they go to the next one. The U.S. initiated, it was called Operation Meeting House, and they called them Tokyo Fire Raids, which basically
Hmm.
was napalm. And they would send 300 or more planes at a time filled with napalm, and basically they bombed every city in um, Japan except Hiroshima and Nagasaki. um, and they're trying to get the Japanese to um, surrender and stuff, but it made them more determined almost. But these raids happened, and March 10th was the first one, and then they came back in April and in May, and they did a lot of devastation. And like you said, um, I want to say that on these raids, it was like 300,000 people that were killed.
Oh, every bit
Um,
of it. There was the
y-
Tokyo raids ended up killing about 1 million people just in Tokyo.
yeah, like, but
Yeah, they were
every city over
devastating.
like 50,000 was like destroyed.
Yeah,
And with napalm, and you can go on, you can see pictures of women and children and people, just what napalm does.
yeah.
It's not pretty. Um, it was war is hell, and it was hell. And you go to the next one,
You play to win.
and you can start seeing the devastation of Tokyo. Just keep on going. Um, There's just a bunch of pictures that just showing, the extent. Like the first raid was like 15 square miles of Tokyo was flattened,
Yeah. And it
and then
got
they
to a
went
point
on.
where they were even flying over uncontested anymore. At this point,
Yeah.
Japan was so far down that you didn't have to worry about having escorts
Right.
anymore.
And then it went like 40 square miles. Like you see those
Yeah.
pictures of Gaza, that's what this looks like. You go to the
Right.
next one. Um,
Yeah.
just utter devastation. I mean, just flattened. You go to the next one. Um, before and after, 1945 and today, and you just look at it, there's like nothing there.
I mean, that was the
And,
original FAFO was that one right there, that war for the Japanese.
and I we always saw a whole bunch of World War II images, but it was always like Germany, France,
Right.
England. You never really saw Italy or North Africa, or we did see like Tora 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 and Pearl Harbor and that type of stuff, but we never really saw any images of of Japan.
Right.
I didn't. And then the next one is we saw the image before. Go to the next one.
And you can tell where this is the effects of firebombing, because the only structures that are left are the ones they
The
made out of
bricks,
concrete.
brick. Yeah.
Everything, and that shows you. I mean, literally 99% of that city was wood and paper.
Hmm. So then we had the images that showed all the all the planes attacking the canal.
Right.
And now we have the images where the U.S. is attacking the
Uh-huh.
Mount Fuji and stuff in the background. Just
It
the role has turned, right?
totally flipped. Sure did.
And then this is Tokyo today. I mean, it's just like night and day.
Flourishing.
What it went through.
It ain't wood and paper no more.
That's what
They
I say.
learned
It's
that
all
lesson.
concrete now.
But-
It's all
but we-
concrete now.
Go on the next one, and we talked about the B-29s flying out of China as well.
Right.
And because the Japanese Navy controlled all those islands in Pacific, you couldn't send supply ships
Right.
through there. So the supply ships had to come in through Burma,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had it was called Operation Matterhorn, and they had to basically truck and carry things over the mountains
Yes.
like Tibet and come into Western China there, and then
Sure
they would
did.
fly the airplanes and stuff over to Japan and stuff. And this is a photo of my uncle, and he was stationed in Burma in China.
Wow.
And
That's
so he
so
worked
cool.
on that, and they had like one of those pack mules in the back where they would put
Yeah.
supplies on it and run them up the mountains and stuff like that. So I just threw that in there. And then, have you ever heard Operation Cherry Blossom at Night?
No. Can't say I have.
Ricky might be interested in this, because while the U.S. was attacking Japan, Japan was also making efforts to attack the U.S. soil, and they had an Operation Cherry Blossom at Night where they were going to attack the West Coast with flea bombs,
Flea bombs. Is that for what? For bubonic plague or something?
something like that. Yeah, like
Huh.
basically,
I know they sent some balloons early in the war.
they sent balloons, and they did firebombing as well.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
we'll talk about that anywhere, but um, but it didn't work for them, but they did. That was their plan, was to like
Just had an
a
itchy town in the
contagion,
West Coast somewhere.
a
Oh, I've
contagion.
heard
Yeah.
about that. They sent a bunch of balloons over from Japan, actually,
Mhm.
and catch the air drift
Yeah,
and
right.
onto California.
So let's go to the next one. So this is the Hornet coming through the Panama Canal
Okay, look at
afterwards, and
Yeah.
so it's just like, that would have, and you can see the control tower is in camouflage, but the light
Yeah,
poles
it is.
aren't.
No, they're not. You're right.
Yeah, the lights
So-
have been changed.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
And look at all the
But-
personnel walking around on the locks too.
I mean that's a famous ship. The next one
Yeah.
is the Missouri.
Look at that.
That's where the surrender was signed on the
where it was
Missouri
signed,
and
yeah.
stuff, and it's going through the canal and stuff. So famous ships going through, just like the Ancon and the Cristobal,
Yeah, no
right?
kidding, man.
Years
a little bit
before.
bigger this one though.
All right. So then, going to the next one. So then there were planned attacks on the Panama Canal. The Germans had Operation Pelican that they were planning in 1943, and basically they were going to send Stutka bombers off of an island off of Colombia on the Caribbean side and bomb Gatun, which never happened.
Right.
And then Japan was working on Operation Storm or Clear Sky Storm, and it was going to be planned for like October of 1945. And so that's what I wanted to talk about next is the Japanese Operation Storm.
I read that they also, on the day that they bombed Pearl Harbor, they were going to also bomb the Panama Canal. But then, of course, they couldn't figure out how to sneak up on the canal, or to split their forces, because they would need something like 2 or 3 of their carriers for the Panama operation. So they scratched it
All right.
and then came back in 45.
So just kind of recap, the fire raids, they happened starting like April 42. That was Doolittle's raid going through August of 45. And then, the Pacific Theater, the U.S. and Japan were fighting, Bataan, Guadalcanal, Okinawa. The U.S. lost 48,000 people attacking, acquiring Okinawa alone. And so
Wow.
that was one of the reasons with the firebombing and the atomic bomb
Yeah,
is that
absolutely.
if it took 48,000 to take Okinawa, how many U.S. lives are going to take to Honshu?
Well, the culture of fighting in Japan was not to surrender. Surrender
Exactly.
was
Right.
shameful,
Yeah.
and
Right.
so
Exactly.
you couldn't
Exactly.
expect an entire division to surrender. They're
Mhm.
going to fight to the death, and
Right.
if you want to die, we'll drop a bomb on you. We're not going to bring people on land and die
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah. And the U.S. always accused the Japanese of being very disrespectful to prisoners.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And treated American prisoners especially bad. And that's like the Bataan Death March and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
certainly.
But again, like you said, that their Japanese would rather, um,
Fight to the death.
fight to the death. So that was what they were, taught to do. But just what I'm drinking tonight, some
Oh, there you
Japanese
go.
whiskey because it's good as hell.
Right
Anyway,
on.
all right. So
Heck
this,
yeah.
but the atomic bombs didn't happen until August 6th and 9th.
Right.
And then VJ Victory over Japan Day was August 15th, and that's where the Ancon was at, right in Tokyo Bay
Mm-hmm.
in the Missouri. But we're going to talk about the other August 15th,
Okay.
or this is the other August 15th
Right.
was VJ Day, and then the Japanese surrendered on September 2nd. That was the date that it was
That's the
signed on the
official surrender
Missouri,
was signed. Correct.
right? And then Operation Storm was happening at the same time
Hmm.
and didn't really end until October.
How about that? Go figure that one out.
So even though the war is over,
A little
there's
radio
a
difficulty somewhere.
there was a plan to attack the Panama Canal, but it got preempted. So we're going to talk about that.
All right, let's hit it.
So there was a base in the Pacific. I think you went too far. Called Aleutian, and the Japanese. This was a major naval base, and the Japanese had created these submarines that were 2 to 3 times larger than any U.S. submarine,
Mm-hmm.
and they had more powerful torpedoes. They also had 3 seaplanes that they could carry in hangars.
Yeah, the Japanese had the best torpedoes in the war. They're just poorly utilized, but they were
And
by far the best.
so they started creating this submarine, and it was unknown to the U.S. And they were going to attack this base, and they were going to attack the western coast of California, and they were going to attack the Panama Canal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the attack on this base was supposed to happen on August 17th.
Oh, how about that?
So what happens on the days before? These subs are underwater, right? So they come up and they hear that the Japanese has surrendered, and they're like, "Oh, that can't be true. That's
There's
got
a
to be
message fragment
BS.
like Crimson Tide.
That's got to be BS. That we
Right.
wouldn't do that, right? We're going to fight to the death. But so these guys are out there still on mission, but they're getting in these reports that say, you know,
Hey, the
scuttle
war's
your,
over, man.
you know,
Yeah. Turn
scuttle
around and come
yourself and
home.
surrender. We're surrendering. You're like, wait, we don't do that.
They're like, dude, we've been
But-
underwater for
Yeah.
4 months, man.
Yeah.
I'm not going back.
So there's a sub called the Segundo, and it was basically off the coast of Midway, and they said, hey, come up to Tokyo Bay. You're going to represent the submarine corps during the surrender. So they're headed to Tokyo, and they have a radar, and this blip comes on their radar, and it's this giant blip, and they're like, what the hell is that? They find out it's one of these Japanese subs, and it's having engine trouble, but they follow it, and they tell it to stop and stuff, and it keeps on going. They're like, why are these guys running? The war's over.
Right.
And they're like, we can't shoot it because there's a ceasefire.
Yeah, there's no hostilities anymore.
And then finally, they chase it all night, and then the next day, the U.S. says, look, if these guys try to attack you, you have permission to sink.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, these guys got bigger guns than we have, but all right. But it does surrender, just to kind of move through this. But these guys are shocked that the submarine's like 3 times as big as their submarine, and it's got this 100-foot tube. It's 11.6 inches wide, and it has these aircraft in it, or it used to have the aircraft. I think they scuttled the aircraft actually, but it has 204 crew members. The U.S. didn't know about it, and but there were 6 other subs after the surrender that left the submarine base in Japan on their own accord. They're basically saying, we're not surrendering, we're going out and fight, and so there was this mop up period for
Those
a couple of
rogue
weeks
elements.
after the war that people weren't giving up with, but
Interesting.
they were going to attack this base, Aleuthe, and then they were going to head to Panama and
Finish the job.
finish the job, and it just didn't quite work. But it was called Operation Clear Storm, and they had these aircraft that could launch, and
Well, they already had success with surprise attack, so
Yeah.
you
let's
know,
go.
they were good at that.
Yeah, so let's go to the next one and see some pictures of this aircraft. They're
Okay.
called a Syrian,
Yeah.
and basically it was a float plane, but they could launch it off the
Sure.
submarine,
you can
and the
recover
wings
it.
folded back, and everything could tuck it
Okay.
in. It took them 30 minutes to pull it out and open it up and get it ready to fly and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And then, so this is an actual Syrian airplane. It's the only surviving one, and this was
Yeah.
it was number 28, and basically it was under manufacturing at the time of surrender, and the Japanese ended up turning it over to the US. So
Sure.
they had one
An
of this
intact
is
model.
it's the only living one, because all the
Yeah.
others were scuttled and sent to the bottom of the ocean, and just like all the codes that the Japanese had, and all the
Yeah, certainly.
torpedoes, they got rid of the torpedoes, so the US couldn't get the technology and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So this is actually at the Air and Space Museum in Virginia here.
Okay.
And so I need to go look at it. They
Yeah,
restored it
looks
in
good.
2000. But this was the plane that was going to come and destroy the Panama Canal. The next one is an illustration from a book that basically shows the plane
Yeah.
coming out of this little tube, and there's this like track. Basically, it's the launch catapult to
Sure.
send the plane off and stuff like that. Next is
Wow, that is a good sized
image.
submarine.
It looks like a ship.
Yeah, it does,
It's
man.
big, and
Got a little hanger on it is what that is.
got the the little bulb in the front
Yeah.
for the hangar door, and then a little rise for the catapult.
Yeah, it's like a ramp.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the next one is just a different image.
Sure.
You know how menacing it looks.
No kidding, man.
And then the next
Smart
one.
idea. I mean, it's
Yeah. Well, they were going to build like 4 of these things
yeah.
and go and
Because again,
attack.
all you got to do is damage the locks, and they can't get ships
Mhm.
through.
Right. So it was like the size of a ship, you know.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then this book is I got a lot of my information from Operation Storm.
Interesting.
And it's got a 4.5 on Goodreads.
Yeah. Okay.
And then this book here, the I-400, that was the first one. There was 4 of them built, so there was a 400, 401, 402, and I think the 403.
Purpose built for the canal.
Yep. Japanese secret aircraft carrying strike submarines, objective Panama Canal.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were built for. Nothing more. You didn't have no other use for those things. You know, why else would you want to transport aircraft across an ocean?
So this is the next one. You can kind of see the hangar there and the the ramp to launch those things. It said the most feared submarine in the Pacific. I don't think that's true because I don't think the U.S. knew about it.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't know about it. They're going to be scared of something they didn't know about.
Right. And then this image is like they're doing the test,
Yeah.
and you can see the planes on the front of it and stuff like that. It's very grainy, but
Yeah, you can see the hangar door open there. It's on the hinges.
right. So then you get these are the 2 submarines that they captured, and then the U.S. took them to Hawaii. I guess they studied them, and then they took them
Sure.
off the coast and sank them.
Nice.
They did find them in like 2008.
Oh,
They're
really?
like in
Okay.
2,000 feet of water. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're not
And so this is the U.S. inspecting these things. You know, the door. They said that when they had it out in the sea, I guess they're doing some type of sea trial with it. That these doors leaked mightily. So
wow.
I don't know how durable they were.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, weight's such an issue.
even the Syrian that they had, they said the workmanship on it was so bad, but their factories and stuff were damaged that a lot of their machinery and tools and stuff they didn't have it, so they just did what
Made
they
the
could.
best they could. Yeah. MacGyvered
Yeah.
it.
It's like
Okay.
and just how big this thing is. You
Yeah,
know,
no kidding, man.
at the time. Now we
Yeah.
look at the sub; they're all that size. But,
No, yeah, look
and
at
then
that.
just another image of the plane to see what it looked like. I think I had this one in already, but then
Got a heck gun on it.
one of the guns, and so it was pretty well fortified
Yeah, heck yeah.
little thing, and that's basically my presentation for the night.
That's awesome, man. That was, it's we've heard a lot of those stories about the canal being a target for the Japanese, but this is the first time we've actually looked at the details, how they were going to do it, what they were going to use to
They
do
were
it.
going to park off the coast of Ecuador, and it was going to fly over, come around, and attack the Gatun locks.
Okay.
And at that naval station I showed you in Japan, Yokohama, they built a wooden replica of the locks so that they could practice on.
Oh, good. And like you were showing earlier with that footage of the smoke canisters,
Yeah.
That
Right.
was necessary because, these guys had that planned route and they're looking for certain landmarks, and that's your target. And all of a sudden,
Well,
you can't
that's
see
why
it.
they didn't want photographs. But one
Right.
of the things too is that one of the engineers of the original Panama Canal was Japanese,
How about
and he
that?
had the plans.
So they already had all the drawings they
They
needed.
already
They didn't
had
need
them
your
all.
photographs.
Yeah. So, but they determined that it was too hard to torpedo the Gatun locks. I think the Germans were going to attack the dam.
Oh, sure,
But,
because that'll close the whole canal for probably years.
And the Japanese were going to torpedo the Gatun locks, but then they decided that was too difficult. They were just going to kamikaze it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. It really, and it shows, like you said, the military was an integral part of the canal zone from day one, and not just in the construction. We got used to seeing these guys being around, and they're part of the defense of the canal, but we always had it from our perspective of the Cold War. Well, this is just a place where you're going to transit stuff to get out to Europe and to the Soviet Union with all those fights. But in actuality, these people were there to defend the canal from being
Yeah,
attacked, which
they
was
were
the deal.
they did a hell of a job, man.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. No
And
kidding.
you know, to think about when the U.S. got involved in it and all the machinery that they were able to produce, the tanks and the planes,
Right.
in just a short period of time, because we're talking about 1941 to 1945
Right.
when it
Correct.
ended, and
Yeah.
you know, look
Well,
at
there's always been that old
the war
saying
in
that,
Ukraine has been going on for 3 years, and
right?
you know,
And that's always been one of those old sayings that they talk about, that the Japanese, when they were planning the attack, that some of these guys had been, as part of
ramping up.
diplomatic missions in the U.S. and they said, "Look, you're waking up a sleeping giant, man. You have
Yeah.
no idea what you're doing." And the truth of the matter is, I saw this in a video recently. Somebody was talking about the one critical factor of the war was that the biggest country fighting it, which ended up being the United States, was the one country that all of its manufacturing was out of reach of all the enemies. So, whereas we took out all the factories in Germany and
Right.
Japan, everywhere else, and so they couldn't reproduce war materials, we were putting these out like
Mhm.
I mean, like growing grass. It's just unbelievable how much we could produce, and
Right.
and it was never under any threat. It
Right.
was always going to produce
Right.
completely unfettered.
Right. But even like the Germans and stuff, you know, they had issues with like getting rubber for tires and stuff like that.
Sure.
So they had to do synthetic stuff
Yeah.
because all of a sudden you couldn't get the latex from South America or whatnot.
Correct.
You know, the other thing I heard is that there were 9,000 Nazis that ended up like moving to South America after the
Oh my God, the amount of people that you see the last names for South Americans down there, you're like, how the heck did you
like
get a German or
nine
Austrian name?
9,000. I mean, how many people lived there back then? But
Right?
because if we look at Panama, what was the population of Panama City in 1945? It was only like 50,000 people, right? So
Right.
it
So you're talking about 20% of a population.
yeah, it's like, and you must have stuck out like a sore thumb. I mean,
Right. Yeah, you didn't look like no
mm,
Inca or anything like that down there.
but so, and even Colombia had like 4,000 Germans living in it
Yeah.
before the war and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of prominent names in South America to this day, they're very much, European names.
But you know, it was a brutal attack on in 1941, and
Hmm.
it was a brutal war, and everyone was fighting to survive, really.
At that point, no kidding. Everybody
And,
was, and little by little, I mean, even Panama at one point declared war on Germany.
so
As
the
part of it.
U.S. invested a lot of money in defense there,
Yeah.
and you know all that stuff, and you can imagine what there were 60,000 soldiers there during that war,
Yeah.
and that was more than Panamanians.
Right. Right.
And so
Just to
it had to
defend
be
one center part of it, not the whole country either.
it had to be a shock to
Yeah.
have all of that and all
And
those
even for
machines.
Zonians, like some of your parents and grandparents growing up in the zone, to see that amount of military everywhere because it had to
Mhm.
be. I mean, it just had to be
Well, it was
covered.
the whole country. It wasn't
Well,
just in the
yeah,
Canal Zone.
because you know,
Yeah.
like you know, my father-in-law grew up in Illinois.
Right.
I bet they didn't see a tank or an airplane anywhere. You know, the four
Not even
years there,
close.
they
Not
might have
even
built them,
close.
but they didn't ever see
Nope.
them. They probably
If
never
they did
saw
one, it
them.
was for raising bonds or something. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It
But
wasn't for defense of a town.
but but Panama Canal, it was like one of the spots, and I guess it was a defensive spot.
Well, you always
But
hear that story about, the Spanish American War and the ship leaving San Diego and getting to Cuba and the war is over. And so
yeah,
everybody understood that canal is key
right,
to affecting to fighting a two theater war, right?
mhm,
And to be able to
right,
move ships from one side, like we saw that picture of a battleship going through the canal in 1943. That's in the middle of the war. We're not
mhm.
winning Europe yet. We're not winning in the Pacific yet, but we're moving assets in either direction. And that canal
and
certainly saves time.
and it was a funnel, so everything had to go through there, and it's
Yeah.
like Maine and Maine, so they
Yep.
saw every ship and every sailor
No kidding.
go through that canal. And then my last presentation was basically all the airplanes that they had there just to defend
Yeah.
that place.
Well,
Tough.
remember we saw was it last month that you brought that presentation up where all those aircraft
Mhm,
in Albrook, and I mean these are P-38s, which are frontline fighters, and I mean a long row of those things. So it wasn't just a kind of like in
mhm,
China you had that Flying Tigers, which is kind of a ragtag outfit. It was some
right,
Americans and expats, but here in Panama it was a full theater that was expected
sure,
to be in combat at
yeah,
some point.
right.
You know, So
Yeah,
you
they
got
had,
a
I
special
was
request.
shocked at how many different types of airplanes they had.
Yeah, yeah, and again, these were frontline fighters and bombers and stuff they were putting in there.
Yeah,
There
well,
wasn't
like some of
reserve
them were the
stuff.
B-17s. You know, I
Yeah,
used to watch the 12 o'clock high where they're going into
correct.
Germany and dropping. You know, it's like
That was
what
state of the
they were.
art at the time,
Yeah, what the
and it
heck
was
do you
in
need one
Panama.
a bomber in Panama?
Go figure.
But they
Go
had them
figure.
there. I
Well,
mean,
and you see those attack plans where they talk about, some of those landing zones. They're out there by, Chame and probably Rio Hato, if you look on that map,
yeah,
right? And so let's assume they do land there. You're gonna have to get something to go and start bombing those areas where the artillery is not reaching
sure,
yet.
that's
So,
true. That's true.
you know,
Yeah,
but well, Bud Tristano's got a request here for you about the do a deep dive on that third locks project, which was
yeah,
abandoned around 1940.
yeah. I'm gonna do one on the third locks,
Awesome.
and then there's also the locks that or the canal that was proposed using the nuclear bombs.
The Japanese, right? Weren't they the ones
No,
that?
no, no. That was a U.S. plan.
Yikes. Didn't even know
So I'll
Balboa
do
ran his
those. I'll
head.
do those together. But that'll be a show.
Right
The
on.
third locks,
Heck yeah. Oh,
and
that'll be definitely a good one.
then they studied the using nuclear bombs to basically blow a channel, and they said it's a bit too dangerous. Part of it too was a ploy to get the Panamanians to back off on a treaty. It's like, hey, we're going to build a sea level canal,
And make half your
and
country unusable for 500 years. But
so,
wow,
but
interesting.
I guess it was every trick in the book that they could they could do. One of the things I
Well,
was reading was
back
that
then the U.S. was the only nuclear power in the world, and they've already shown, hey, we're not afraid to drop these things. So if we say we're going to use them, you got to take hide. I mean,
yeah, but I also mentioned last time, the U.S. had all these airstrips and stuff,
yeah,
and they were asking the Panamanians if they could keep them, and the Panamanians said no. But what I read in one piece after that was that the military was just like, we were BSing. We didn't
right.
want them, but we were just like
Play
asking
the
for it.
game.
So because they didn't want something else to happen, so they were like using it as some leverage to, to keep Panamanians, busy for a while till the U.S. could do what they needed to do. And we saw the same thing with the canal negotiations. When you look at some of the memos with Nixon and Kissinger and
Yeah,
stuff, it's
sure.
kind of like, yeah, we're going to
13
give it away,
years.
but we're not going to be the ones. We want the next administration to be the one
Exactly.
that's around their neck.
They're going to get credit for it, not us.
Yeah, and then that way Will can have a little Jimmy Carter symbol on his
Yeah,
website.
absolutely.
But really is Nixon.
Yes, it was. It was Eisenhower actually kicked it off.
I think Eisenhower had a big part to do with it
Yeah,
too.
and this guy had influence. I mean, always had.
But after the war, everything changed. I mean, the balance
Sure,
of power changed, and I
the
think
world
when
shrunk.
the Russians,
Yeah,
whatever, after Potsdam and all that stuff, what they went through, and you know, because at one point we were allies, right? Same with the Chinese and stuff.
yeah,
But
absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
but
the world
it's
does
kind
change
of
like that
like,
every 40, 50 years. It seems like
yeah,
alliances switch and move
so,
around. But hey,
but
real quick,
yeah.
Garrett here's posting. You may want to get in touch with him because he mentioned here that his dad was field director during the sea level canal study in the '60s. So,
All right, yeah,
and he
yeah,
says he's got the report. So
yeah.
that may be
Mhm.
a good assist there for you.
Sure,
So
sure.
awesome. Well, listen, Dave, thank you again for doing this. Again, as always, we walk out of here with just some amazing knowledge of the zone that we never thought about before, and it's fantastic. You always leave us further educated on this beautiful canal and the canal zone and everything else. So much
Yes, a master
appreciated.
class of
Yeah.
educating us. Thank you so much, David.
Indeed. I got a lot of really good comments about tonight's episode. So
Mhm.
you
A
definitely
lot of good.
outdid
Your best
yourself.
show so far, David,
Yeah,
according to a
so
lot of our
right
our
on. But Dave, thank you so much. What do you have in mind then for November?
I don't know. See,
Well, maybe Garrett will help you
I'll
out
do
there.
the sea level.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and
yeah.
Garrett's already
I've
mentioning
been
it
thinking
too.
about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I've
there's
been thinking
got
about
some
it
good
for a
info.
year because you come across these things. We've talked
Sure.
about all the different canal routes that were proposed. The Sound
Yeah.
Blast area and all. Up Costa Rica and
Heck yeah,
Nicaragua
even
and
back down in Darien and all that stuff.
yeah.
So
But then there were the sea level, and then places like Diablo and stuff were and Margarita were created for the Third Locks projects and stuff like that.
Well, you know, and that picture that you had earlier of that great perspective from Amador looking into Balboa and stuff, you can kind of envision, like you had said before, that between Sosa Hill and Ancon Hill was going to be a dam. And they were going to dam that whole area up. That wasn't going to be the Balboa that we have now. So it was kind of
Right.
neat to envision that and see that
Mhm.
was going to be a whole different landscape to Balboa on the
Right.
Pacific side.
And I guess a lot of people can confuse the area that was built because they did build part of the third locks
Right.
before the war, and then they stopped it. But a lot of people think that that's old French Canal stuff, like in
Right.
Coakley and stuff. But it was
Later.
actually third locks, and I guess there's over in Gatun area, they have some of it as well. But people
Right.
call it the French Canal, but it's actually the third locks.
Right. It's all U.S. Not anything to do with the French.
Yeah, so we'll look at that and get that straight because again, that's not anything I really ever knew about.
Right. And that's one that has conflicting information, which you'd like
Yeah.
to.
I do know my grandfather worked on that,
Okay. Oh,
but
right on.
that's all I know
Yeah.
is
Well,
that he
good.
worked on it, but I
You
don't
got
know
an
what he
incentive to
did
work on that one then.
on it. I mean,
And
just
hopefully if
like
you get in touch with Garrett, he might have some cool
Yeah.
information on some of that
Yeah.
stuff as well.
I know he worked on the cut widening because I've seen photographs
Yeah.
of them. He's on the job site and they've got a contractor doing the excavation and stuff like that. But they widened it from 300 feet to like 600 feet
Right on.
in the
Right on.
50s.
Sure.
Because at one point they could only do traffic one way,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they
Of course.
didn't do night traffic and stuff like that. So they widened it to make it a little bit safer and to have two ships be able to pass by each other.
Right. Right.
But yeah, we'll talk about all
Yeah.
that stuff. There's just so much stuff to talk about, and it's hard. I tried to keep this short for tonight. It's still tough to keep
But
it.
it's always fascinating, man. It's always a great time. It's fun to listen to it, and even looking at those old pictures,
Mhm.
that one that we saw with the admin building, with the guys in 1930, the Navy coming off the ship there. What a great picture! What a perspective of Corey Heights that we didn't see living right under it. Because here's 40 years later in the 70s, we're seeing all those trees have grown and hidden all that away. So,
and I have all these pictures kind of like stored. Unfortunately, they're not cataloged.
Right.
So sometimes it's hard to find them.
Sure.
But I've seen all these things. So I see something like that, and I'm like, oh, I gotta say that one has like very cool shot. And
Yeah.
but where do you put it in? You if you just can't show a picture from 1938.
Right, without a narrative behind it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I thought, all right, this is perfect to talk about. So that's why I kind of gave some background of what was happening.
You wonder you put together like a photographic journey of the progression of the zone, some similar pictures from because again, with all the history you and your family have, there may be pictures of a view, and here it is 20 years later from now another sibling or family member, and see that growth of the zone that many of us didn't consider.
I don't have many photographs of the canal zone from my family. That's
Okay.
why I'm always happy to see these photographs from like Buddy Hallett and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were sending these photos back to the United States.
Sure.
And now they
had that vision to see these are going to be collectible one day. People are going to really be.
And I find collections like it'll be like the University of Kentucky has a collection. Like, why do they have a collection?
Right.
It's because someone donated.
Yeah.
And they got
might have been their alma mater or something.
Pictures of Ancon baseball, and you're like, what the heck is it doing in Louisville? It's like, but because people took these pictures and they wrote letters home.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was reading a story about this German officer, and he was writing letters home about what they were doing out in Europe, killing. I won't say what they were doing, but basically what they were saying is that the people that were back in Germany couldn't say they didn't know what was going on because people were writing home about it.
Right. Yeah.
They're bragging about all the atrocities they were doing.
Sure.
But then the family said they destroyed all the letters.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be caught with them.
No, absolutely want to be held responsible for that. Well,
yeah,
there's always that issue in I think it was in Band of Brothers when they discovered one of the camps. And so what do the guys do? They said,
Well,
"You make the people in this town go and dispose of
well,
those bodies because you can't tell me you didn't know what was going on there."
well, part of like in the Bataan Death March,
Right.
they, the U.S. like I don't know how many 60,000. I don't know how many surrendered, but there were tons of people surrendered, and they would check all the soldiers and empty their pockets, and if they found any Japanese currency,
They
they were
kill them.
killed.
Yeah.
Because where did you get the Japanese
You
currency? You took it
obviously,
from a dead Japanese
yep,
person.
you have killed somebody already, a Japanese.
Yeah, and whether you did or not, maybe you found it on the side of the road, doesn't matter.
Right.
You
Guilty as charged.
guilty as charged. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like hey,
But
you
like you
killed one
said
of my
earlier, war
brothers,
is hell,
man.
man. I mean, at the end of
You're
the day, war is
done.
hell.
Yeah. So hey, I mean, I guess it worked both ways. But you
It
start
did.
reading why.
Well, even at the end, these guys, they didn't want to believe that the war was over. I got a mission. I got to go bomb the canal.
Yeah,
Well,
because I
no,
know,
dude, the
like my
war's over.
father-in-law would say, they went on Tinian, and the Japanese had occupied Tinian, and some were still like hiding out in caves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's possible that you could have found an artifact,
Of
and you
course.
pick it up and you put it in your pocket because
Sure.
this
It
is
was a
pretty
collectible.
neat,
You were
right?
it
I mean,
out
I'm
there.
a plowboy from Illinois.
Right. Yes.
I'm taking a
That
souvenir
Japanese
home.
coin
Then if you got
is unique.
captured and you have that in your pocket,
Oops.
all right, I got no questions asked. I don't know if you
Curiosity killed
find
the
it.
cat.
You killed somebody
Literally.
to get it. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, your enemy.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
It is. It
it's
was
it's
definitely.
really interesting, and you only get so much information on TV and all that type of stuff because you can't show this stuff.
Yeah. No, of course not.
You
Absolutely not.
can't. I mean, it's so sanitized, but
Yeah.
it's so gruesome when you read about it. You're like, holy
Yeah.
crap!
No, no doubt about it. No doubt
It
about it.
you
But hey,
know
that's the cost of war, and it's one of those things. It's part of humanity, and it almost hit the Panama Canal back in the 40s,
it.
but
I mean,
thank God it didn't.
yeah, I think we were this close to
Yeah,
being attacked,
yeah.
and like
If that war goes on another, because like you said, we didn't know about those submarines, so the war goes on another 6 months.
yeah.
That sub's
Well,
attacking Panama.
someone tried, and I know when I've read the old Cristobal yearbook, they talk about some of the high school students talk about being like on like a ROTC
Right?
patrol, and they would go out and they depth charged in I don't know if they sank a sub, but there was one out there and they went chasing
Yeah,
it,
yeah. A U-boat.
right there in Cologne Bay and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So um,
it was real. The war
it was
was real, and
real.
it was in
Yeah.
Panama. So. All right, Dave. Well, listen, thank you again. Appreciate you as usual taking the time on your first Friday of the month to come in and educate us on the Canal Zone, and we're looking forward to what you bring next month. It may or may not be the third locks, and if so, and Garrett can help you out. Appreciate that, Garrett, because that looks like it'll be a lot of fun. And Bud will definitely let you know on that, because I know you're an avid historian, and you bring a lot of the military perspective as you did in the last one. So we're gonna do more of that. But anyhow, Dave, have yourself a wonderful weekend, and we will see you on the next episode.
Cheers.
Thank you, David. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Take care. All right, man. That was cool, man. That was an interesting history of Japan and everything there, and even that previous history. That was fun. Let me tell you what. Of all the pictures that I've seen, come up, some of those were just fantastic, man. That
Fantastic.
Amador was just wow. What a great picture that was. I'm glad he sent me that as a PDF because I want to definitely download that picture, man. Because that's
Willie,
love
we're
that
going to have to print up some master's degrees in art
I know,
and
right?
Panama history
Yeah.
and hand them out. If you've been to all 25 of David's shows, you have graduated.
You
from
are
your
a
master's
certified
degree.
Panama historian. No kidding, man. That's a good point,
Right
man.
on. No, that's
So,
great. No, David's
good
phenomenal.
show though, as usual. Dave always knocks it out of the park, and everybody ends up with a lot of great aha moments. So we're fortunate to have Dave always coming on and sharing it with us. Next week, guys, James
Great
Slater, a great show all about music. Somebody that's done great in music in the zone, and then went up to the States here and did it as well. So looking forward to that, guys. Thank you again, everybody, for the great show tonight. Ricky, get us out of here, man.
Hey, guys, thank you. All you guys that commented, we appreciate that. Over 80 or so comments. That's awesome, guys. Listen, next week, we're going to have a great show for you guys. So join us. bring your friends, bring some cocktails, and enjoy next week's show with
All right. Well,
Mr.
have a
Slater. I always get his name wrong. James Slater.
yes, James
I always
Slater.
call him Christian Slater. I think he had a brother named Christian, actually.
Yeah.
He had an
All right,
older
guys.
brother.
Take care, guys. Ricky,
Thanks.
have a great weekend, man.
Yes.
Cheers.